The first call came into the Everett Police Department approximately 1825, well, that would be 6:25 this evening. Okay, someone there.
Everett Police.
Right.
Okay.
Someone there, well, a friend of Pete Peters, why can't I remember his name? Jerry, called the Seattle Flight Center. Okay, when he called the Seattle Flight Center, they had already seen, or they were seeing the object at the time. Seattle Flight Center at the same time was in touch with high brass in Washington, D.C.
They called Seattle Flight Center and they were in touch. Did they have the object under observation?
They did. They did at the time. I don't know if they had it exactly at that time, but when the object was reported, a call was made to Seattle Flight Center. They claimed, Seattle Flight Center said that they saw it, or they were in the process of seeing it, and they were in touch with Washington, D.C.
Okay.
The object was seen as far as Alberta, Canada, was seen as far east as Spokane, and other cities across the state.
It was seen as far north?
Well, as far north as Alberta, Canada. It was seen as far east as Spokane.
Okay.
Okay, now, Jerry called Payne Field, and he was notified that Payne Field had the object under observation for 3 minutes.
Okay.
He then called the Whidbey Island Naval Station, talked to whoever he talked to there. They said they had the object under observation for approximately 5 minutes. A helicopter pilot also saw the object. He estimated the object at between 3,000 to 5,000 feet.
Is this at the NAS?
I think so. The general description.
Okay, this is 3 to 5,000?
Yeah, and there's a big problem there, okay?
This is
Visual estimate.
Okay.
Okay, now the object was described as being very bright orange, giving off sparks and flames, just like the other one last year.
Bright orange.
Okay, George, just a minute.
Giving off sparks and flame.
Okay. Now, as I understand it, Whidbey Island tried to get the object on radar. Nothing showed.
No radar.
The object had a flat trajectory, traveling from west to east. According to witnesses, they followed the object intermittently through the cloud layer that was twirling around. And the last thing they saw was the object looked like it just exploded or broke into pieces. Okay.
Was there any audible sound?
No sound reported.
Okay.
Although hundreds and hundreds of witnesses on bases. Coast Guard also cited it, and that's all he said about that aspect of it. They said they don't know how many witnesses there are, except that they've been getting calls and people on the bases. There's a lot of witnesses on the bases.
This is coming into, you're speaking of calls into Snohomish County Radio Central.
All over, through all the...
And you're sending it from Canada down?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the preliminaries that he got in, 20 minutes.
Okay.
He's going to check further. He wanted to know if I should check this out, and I told him, indeed, try to check him out. And I told him something, and I believe this. It seems that these fireball-type sightings always are followed by a flap.
Yeah.
And I told him to watch it. You know, I think that may it may be indicative of a flap. I told him
there's more to it than that, because this thing was seen for, like you say, for 5 minutes.
Yeah, well, see, there's the problem. See, the estimate is very for an object to be seen for 3 or 5 minutes, and the witnesses said it was traveling very slow.
Yeah.
It would have either had to be really high and extremely huge, or very low, or medium, 3 to 5,000 feet, and going slow. And it ain't no goddamn bull-eyed.
Okay.
So that's it. He's going to call me tomorrow night. There may be some witnesses down here at the Seattle Flight Center who may want to talk. And I'm going to go down and do some investigations on that. And he's going to do some more checking tonight. He'll either call me tomorrow, but when he comes here on Sunday, he may have most of the report all typed up. He's calling Heineck also on that.
Okay.
And that's it.
Very good.
Okay, we'll see you later.
Right.
Bye. Old reports on flying saucers?
Absolutely.
20 years old?
That goes back a long way.
Yeah.
That's just about the time I got into it.
Is that right?
Right.
When I was in pilot training, there were about 500 of us saw one right across the street. Watched it for we sat there about 3 minutes and watched it.
And where was this at?
At Lackland Air Force Base in Texas.
What did the object look like?
Kind of glowed. It was a little larger than a one-bedroom house. It was sitting right over a one-bedroom house on the other side of the street. We were on one side of the street standing reveling. And I heard him say underclassmen may gaze, and we looked up, and there was it looked like it was 20 feet across.
For heaven's sake.
Kind of glowed, kind of gave an impression of spinning.
This was in broad daylight?
No, it was just, like a twilight. The sun hadn't come up yet. It was, a real early reveille.
Oh, I see.
And we sat there and watched it about 3 minutes, and an upperclassman started walking across the street toward it, and it took off.
Any sound?
No.
Nothing.
There may have been an impression of sound, but I'm not sure any physical sound.
Uh-huh.
There was maybe like an impression of a high-pitched whine, but I'm not sure there actually was any sound.
I see.
It was out of sight over the horizon in half a second or a second.
This, about 20 years ago.
Yeah, 1954.
54.
Yeah, it was a class of 54J pilot training.
Now, would this be in the summer or what?
Probably just before Christmas. Probably about this time of the year.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if it'd be worth getting in touch with other people to corroborate that or not, but, well, it was class of 54J, and anybody in that flight, several flights there, could have verified it.
Okay, what was the name of that air base again?
Lackland Air Force
Lackland.
Base in Texas. It was pre-flight training for pilots.
I see.
That was at the time, I think, somebody reported that. I never got an official word on it, but I think at the time that was reported to the Air Force, and we were told unofficially that was to be confidential.
Uh-huh.
And all of us were very careful. They were checking us on security all the time. We were all very careful not to tell anybody.
Yes, I can understand that. Well, 54 was a real big year in this country on that UFO reports.
Is that right?
Oh, yes, it was terrific.
Yeah. Well, man, we saw that plane. I mean, it was like 30 feet away.
Oh, jeez. No heat or anything?
No heat. But it wasn't like a mirage or an illusion,
This thing was just glowing all over, like a big light?
It was kind of glowing. No, it wasn't glowing like a light. It was glowing more like fluorescent paint.
I see.
Or something under a black light or something like that.
Did it have any discernible shape?
Yeah, it was like two saucers.
Rim to rim?
Huh?
Two saucers rim to rim?
It was kind of like two Frisbees rim to rim,
Uh-huh.
as a matter of fact.
Rounded at the edges.
No, but it kind of went up, and then something happened there. I can't remember too clearly, but there was kind of an impression that near the edge were like a row of portholes, but it was like spinning, so they came off as a line.
I see. Well, that sounds very common.
Does it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And I don't remember the colors, but it was kind of colored. It was like grayed down purple and green and yellow or something.
And one of the parties started walking towards it, and the thing.
Yeah, one of the upperclassmen in charge of us started to walk over, got about half across the street, and it took off.
You figure it was only about 30 feet away?
Yeah, it was just a little, like, two-lane road, and we were, like, on one edge of the road, and there was a house, 10 feet from the edge of the road, and it was directly over the house, like 20 feet over the house.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it was kind of scary. I was, like, a lot of us felt like we were expected to be obliterated or something.
Yes.
You know.
Well, we sure appreciate your calling to tell us about this.
Okay. I didn't know if you'd be interested in something that old, but
Oh, yes. We're interested in anything, especially a close approach like that. That's,
yeah, I thought it was a fairly rare thing to see it that close and for, 3 full minutes.
Right. Right. Well, we thank you very much.
Okay.
Please keep our number handy.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, this is Ventura Sheriff's Office, Ventura, California.
Yes, sir.
And evidently it's been reported last night a UFO in Ventura County.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, we just had another reporting of something that occurred yesterday.
Okay.
Okay, I'll give you the information. It was approximately just right after 1600 hours. It was a large, long, similar to a Goodyear blimp, flat and gray, and it was observed above the airstrip near Point Magoo, parallel with the freeway.
Okay. Beautiful. We'll take care of it.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
All righty, bye.
Bye. This is the UFO Reporting Center in Washington.
Oh.
We would like very much to hear about your sighting last night.
Well, I was telling my husband I didn't pay any attention to it till I read the paper tonight, and another lady it said in the paper, had seen 2 objects in the Camarillo area.
Is that the Ventura paper?
No, it's the Oxnard.
Okay.
And when I was leaving work at Point Magoo, I happened to see, I don't know if it was the same thing she saw. I'm just, they remind me of what I had seen. It was a very large gray object. To me, my first thought was a blimp, but it had no writing on the side, and it was very flat, and it was moving very slowly, and it was moving parallel with the freeway. And when I got around the airstrip at the base of Magoo, because I wanted to see what it was nowhere in sight. And I didn't think another thing of it until I read in the paper, and that was around 4, and 4:10, and this lady said she saw them on Lewis Road, which was in Camarillo, about 4:30. And it just struck me, my husband said, well, call, so I did.
Okay, now, did this object have any lights on it, colored lights?
No, I saw nothing at all.
Did you see any openings?
No.
Appendages?
Because, see, I was that's why when I went around the airstrip, I was hoping to get a closer look at it.
Yes.
And I could see nothing. It was just plain gray. I just saw no windows or anything.
No appendages or anything?
No.
I see. Okay.
It was cloudy because we've had fog out here, and I could just see it moving. It seemed to be moving very slowly, but like I said, when I got around the airstrip, it was nowhere in sight. I couldn't see it anywhere.
Okay, now, do you have any idea of the altitude and the distance from you?
Oh boy, from me, to me it looked, like I said, it was running parallel with the freeway. I would estimate about, I'm very bad at distances, 1.5 miles.
Okay.
I was on the Navy base, so I'm not sure, 1.5 miles or 2 miles from where I was to the freeway.
Well,
That's
now,
where it looked.
If there was fog in the area, would you consider this object to be fairly low then to be seen?
Yes, it wasn't high in the air, it didn't look like it was way up,
right.
Put it that way, because I could see it, and like I said, we've had foggy weather, not thick fog, but, that drizzly fog that you get out here, and
right.
I could see it. I would hesitate to say how far up it was. It didn't look like it was very high up. It wasn't low, but it was low enough for me to see.
Okay, now, could you estimate its size by comparing it with something that you know?
Well, like I said, the first thing I thought of was the Goodyear blimp.
It would be as long as the blimp?
That's what it looked like to me.
Okay, that's about 206 feet long.
Yeah. That was my first my very first thought was it was a blimp, and I couldn't see anything else in the area.
Right.
And
Now, what time did that happen?
This was around 4.
About 4 p.m., okay. Now, how long do you think you watched that?
A minute, maybe, because I was at the light, and I happened to see it, and I was trying to come, as I went down the strip, trying to look through my window to see it better, and it disappeared.
In other words, it disappeared after your observation was broke off.
Yeah,
okay.
It was just within minutes, and it was gone. And I never thought a thing about it, until I read that in the paper. I thought, boy, that was just prior to when I had seen it. And, of course, Lewis Road is headed out towards Camarillo, which is the way it was headed. And this lady said she saw 2, one on Lewis Road, one over the mountain. I only saw the one. Of course, I wasn't looking around for another one either. But
right.
It was so funny because it was so close to the time I had seen it, and that's the way it was headed, that the time was, like right in the same time area, which would have been right.
Okay, well, we had another call yesterday from Moore Park.
Right, that's the lady that was in the paper.
Okay.
And that's what, it struck me so funny, the coincidences, I didn't see, she said they had red writing on it, but I was too far away, I could see nothing underneath it.
Yes, okay, beautiful. Okay, you were the only one in the car?
Yes.
Have you talked to anybody else that might have seen this on the base?
No, I was just reading the paper like half hour ago and was talking to my husband, and he said, well, call, Didn't think I was a little weird, but it was so funny because of the time, and she described exactly what I had seen, I thought, I'll call.
Well, it's great because these multiple witness cases are the ones that we're constantly looking for.
Oh.
Okay, and of course, this object was moving straight. No motions, no maneuvers of any kind?
Not that I could see it. To me, it was moving parallel with the freeway.
Okay, would that be between the freeway then and the airbase, right?
Yes.
The field, okay.
Well, no, let me see, the airbase and then it's the freeway. It was moving parallel with the freeway.
Oh, okay. Very good. Well, we sure appreciate your talking to us, and if we need additional information, could we feel free to call back?
Sure, fine.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Calling from Orange County, California.
Yes.
And I'm standing here at the drive-in movie here, and a friend of mine and I have observed at least 12 what appears to us to be unidentified objects within the last 20 minutes. And we've got one that's under our observation right now, and it's been there. It's moved to us about, okay, I think somebody's already come. But anyway, it's in our vision now, and it's been here for a good 15, 20 minutes, hovering within what appears to us to be a 20-foot radius in the sky,
Uh-huh.
And we've seen at least 12 other ones that's come right over the drive-in, kind of all heading in the same direction, and all looking basically the same. Like there's a white light on the left, a white light on the right, like a red light in the middle, and like a turquoise maybe towards the front. And I didn't know who to report it to, and I got this number from the police department.
Okay, can you make out an object that's these lights are attached to?
We can't. Okay. We can't. They aren't close enough that we can observe the shape of the object.
Uh-huh.
It appears from viewing it from the distance we are that it's well, I don't know, like triangular, or it could be round. I don't know. But it's like a white light on the left, a white light on the right, and a red light flickering in the middle, and then a turquoise light flickering in the front.
I see.
And there's been 12 of them, I know for sure, that we've counted. And there's one, like I say, hovering right over us. Well, not right directly over us, but a little distance away. And we can tell, we can judge it's moving because we have it in sight with a treetop, and it's moved about 20 feet away from that treetop, but it's still hovering there.
Okay. Now, are all these objects traveling essentially in the same direction?
Yeah, well, they were like, starting out, we were observing them all heading the east from where we're at here. We were all heading in an eastern direction. And then they started, a couple of them, well, it might have been, we might have seen the same one over a couple times, I don't know, because they started circling around. And they were circling around, and a couple of them circled around and started heading west, and then there was some more that had circled completely around, made a complete circle, and headed back east again. You know?
Okay. Then in all of these, all you could see were the lights themselves.
Yeah, and they're all, you see another one. They're all the same light pattern on them, you know, with a flickering red light, a flickering turquoise light, and two bright lights on either side.
Right. Okay. Now, when did you spot the first one?
When?
Yeah.
I would say approximately 20 or 25 minutes ago.
Okay. Quite a few people watching these?
Well, I don't know. We're standing out there. We're at a drive-in, and we haven't been, seen anybody standing outside their cars. You know, we haven't really looked to see. We've been looking at the sky for the last 20 minutes. People probably think we're crazy.
Okay. Now, other than the one that circled and turned, went back where it came from, were they all traveling straight flight paths?
They're all traveling like at a pretty good clip, except there's some of them that aren't moving that fast, and it's like we're standing there watching them, and it's like they're moving along, but then they'll dart or they'll drop, you know, fast and move, and not always in a straight line. Some of them are just making like a beeline, and some of them are just kind of like I don't know how you say it, going back or to the right, to the left a little bit, dipping his wings, however you want to say it. I don't know.
Okay, how would you make a guess on the altitude? Is quite high or low?
How high would you estimate it to be? Would you say it was normal air travel level? It's lower than that, right? Okay, yeah, we did. We observed one that was wasn't just above treetop level. Except it wasn't close enough to get, to view it to say it was round or anything else.
Right.
And the rest of them are up, I can't judge distance in the air that much, but you definitely can see the lights. You definitely can see that there's a form, but not close enough. I mean, it's too high for a helicopter, you know, because I've seen hundreds of helicopters around here. We live pretty close to an air base. And I've seen a lot of planes around here. And it appears that they're a little higher than that to me.
Okay. How are the sky conditions?
Oh, that's clear.
Clear, okay.
Yeah, that's where this one that's out there right now, we thought it was a star, you know, because that's what it looks like. That's the distance it is from us.
I see.
It looks like one star. It isn't as close to us as the rest of them have been, where we could distinguish definitely four lights, you know.
Right.
Okay, this one is like a star that's there flickering, but like a star. And the only way we know that it's not a star is because we're standing there in one position looking at it over the top of a tree, and in 20 minutes' time it's moved what appears to be, you know, from us, like maybe 20 or 30 feet from the spot it started from, you know.
Okay.
But it's still there.
We sure appreciate this report. We're going to get on it, and if we come up with any more information, we'll get back to you and let you know.
Okay.
Thanks very much. Bye.
Well, I know you were kind of telling me when we were just talking a couple minutes ago. So it was October the 11th of 1974.
Yeah.
Can you take us back and kind of explain?
Yeah. Well, in October, I was working at a small shipyard in Pascagoula, and Calvin Parker was working for me, a shipbuilder. And sometime during the day, we decided to go fishing that evening, which I'd done many times after work. So when we got to the river, the Pascagoula River, it began to get late and the fish weren't biting. So we were going to try one more place up by the old Saltpeter shipyard. That's where this thing happened at. And we were sitting there at a pier, fishing out into the river. And I think maybe I was reeling in. I don't remember now. But I heard some hissing sound behind me. And I raised up. We were sitting down on the pier. I stood up and looked around. And there was something back there. It was hovered about that far from the ground. It's probably 40 foot long. I don't know whether it was round or whether it was oblong because the way I was looking at it. But I know up toward what I'm assuming to be the front, it was something like two lights, pulsating lights, or they were blue. And it really frightened me. I didn't know what the heck it was. And by this time, Calvin, he had got up on his feet, and we just instantly, there was a door appeared at that craft. A brilliant light from outside where we were. And there were three things came through that doorway. Turn that book over on the back, and you'll see what they look like.
Okay.
That's
Kind of like this?
primarily what they look like, yeah. They were very wrinkled, and I didn't see any eyes. And I know now, I didn't know then, I know now they were robots. But anyhow, they came around to the side of me, and one took hold of this shoulder, and I felt pain in it, just instantly pain. Another one took hold of this shoulder, and I just went limp. And they weren't touching the ground. The light was off the ground, and they were just gliding out to where I was.
Like levitating?
Levitating. And not seeing, but just when they took hold of me, I just raised up to the height they were. And we was in that main light, and they was taking me toward the ship, and I noticed Calvin at this time, and when one took a hold of him, he fainted. I didn't know what him, he just passed out from fear. And he don't know where he went aboard the craft or not, and I don't know. But I'm assuming he did. But anyhow, they carried me on into that craft, and inside it was a round compartment or room. And it was very brilliant, like the light was coming out the wall, the overhead, and the floor. And we stopped. They stopped me, it seemed like in the middle of the room. And they just left me, but I wasn't touching anything. In a leaning position. And I could tell that I couldn't move anything but my eyes. I could move my eyes. I could tell that they had left me. And something in the wall in front of me, it came out of that light in that wall and moved up in front of me about this far. It was probably this big around, and it appeared to me like a big eye. But there was something in there, there was some kind of instrument, I can't describe what it was. But anyhow, this thing remained there for a few seconds or minutes, and it went downward. And of course, I'm having to assume it went under me and came back up my backside, because after a while, it moved back up in front of me again.
It like scanned you or something.
That's what it was. And it stayed there a few minutes, and they went back into that wall and disappeared. And I didn't know what to think. I was terrified, but I couldn't say anything. And I don't know how long I was in there. I really don't know. But after a while, these things, they came back, moved up to me. I could tell by my eyes aside. They took hold of me. We turned around, and they carried me through that main light back where I were and put me down. They didn't throw me down. They put me down. I don't think they were trying to harm us anyway. But I couldn't, and I didn't know till a long time later on under hypnosis, I found out that there was a window in that room there by where this eye came out. And it's even hard for me to believe. They were something like living beings, looked almost like us. I could see through that window. I didn't know that for a long time. It was in my subconscious mind. And, but they looked almost like we did. And what they were doing, evidently, they couldn't live in our atmosphere, I don't suppose. And they had these robots to examine us. We didn't distract their attention one way or the other, saying they had something to do. And I tried to talk to them, and I couldn't hear myself. You can hear yourself talking. I couldn't even talk. And they done, I guess, what they were supposed to do. And when they carried me out there and let me down, I saw Calvin. And he was standing on the banks of that river with his arm outstretched like this. And he was going in shock. And the reason I know, I spent 20 months a little over 20 months in combat in the career war. And I know how men act when they're going in shock. And when I couldn't get up, my legs were still weak. I was trying to make my way toward him to see if I could help him. And I managed to get up on my feet before I got to him. And I couldn't I couldn't get him to say anything, just like he was out of it. I shook him, and I even had to slap him to get him where I could talk to him. And I told him, he was screaming, what did they do to us? I tried to assure him that they didn't, I don't think they done us any physical harm, and they had gone, When I got him back where I could talk with him, then we didn't know what to do. I didn't want to tell anybody about it, and they call us crazy and that, Things like that's just not supposed to happen. But anyway, we talked about it again. Before we got home, we decided that we'd call the sheriff's department and notify them it might be a threat to our country is what I was thinking about. And I could tell they thought we was pulling their leg. But anyhow, they sent 2 deputies over there, we were, and asked us to follow them to the station. So we followed them to the sheriff's department. And they kept us in there I don't know how long. They had him in one room and me in one room. And then later on, they brought Calvin back in the room with me, and they went out to do something. We didn't know it at that time, but they had a hidden tape recorder. And I think that copy of that tape, I think, is what really finally convinced them that something had happened to us. So Fred Diamond was the sheriff. He's deceased now. And I made him promise me that they wouldn't, there'd be no publicity about it. Just try to find out, get it to the proper authorities, whoever they were, We didn't want to get any publicity about it at all. Sure. So we left there without assurance that there wouldn't be any publicity. And we got home, and it was almost daylight then. And I had a responsibility in the shipyard. I was a foreman there. And I told my wife, I said, I'm going to work. And we got over there to the shipyard. I got my people off working in my office, and the telephone rang. And it was Fred Diamond. No, the first one I heard, it was from some news reporter in Jackson. And was asking me what had happened to Calvin and me the night before. Well, I just hung up on him. I didn't know, how did they find it out? But then the telephone rang again. It was Fred Diamond, the sheriff. And I said some bad words to him and told him that a news reporter had already been trying to contact him. He said, well, I don't know, Charlie, how it got out of this all, but it got slipped out somewhere. So by that time, that day, it was all over the world. My oldest son was he was in the Marine Corps, but he was in Vietnam, but he was in Okinawa at that time. And they had it the next day in that Sergeant's Diet paper you get over there. So anyhow, we went down to the shipyard, and I couldn't work. So news media you wouldn't believe was coming to that shipyard. Well, somehow the word got to Dr. Alan Hynek and Dr. Jim Harder from Berkeley, and Dr. Alan Hynek out of Chicago. They came down here the next day and wanted to talk with us and hypnotize us. But meanwhile, let me get a little bit ahead of my story. Meanwhile, that day that we was down there, and I got to thinking, what if we had radiation? I did it with my family and other friends, so I brought that up. They carried us over to the Singer River Hospital, and they didn't have the facilities to check us for radiation, but they called Keys Air Force Base, and they told us to bring us over there. So we got over there. We had an escort there waiting at the gate, and they had cleared the entire area. You couldn't see anybody. And we went to a conference room, and that's right here, they interrogated us, checked us for radiation. And they thought they found a little radiation on Calvin, but I don't guess it did. But anyhow, we came back, and it was that next day then that Dr. Hiner and Dr. Harder came down, and they put me under hypnosis, and Calvin, and they had come to the conclusion that something had happened to us. Well, you wouldn't believe it. It was a madhouse here for 30 weeks. We couldn't sleep. We couldn't eat. And every time that we look, somebody's trying to interview us, and then a little bit later on, they want to take a polygraph test. So I got off work that evening, and I went to the sheriff's department. They had a polygraph examiner there, and when he took me back there in the room, and he told me, he said, "I'm going to take this." He was going to prove me to be a liar. He said, "Now, if you want to go out, I'll go out there and tell them that it just wouldn't work when you don't want to take this polygraph test." I said, "Man, I'm tired. Give out. I want to get home. Give me the damn thing." So when he got through, in fact, he gave me 2 tests. And Fred Diamond, the sheriff, said when he got through and went on the outside, he said, "That man is telling the damn truth in there." And then all the talk shows over the country wanted me there, and they like to troll me crazy, man. And Calvin, he went back to Jones County, back home where we came from, and he had a nervous breakdown, and they wouldn't even let me see him for 2 weeks in the hospital. So it just that's how it all happened.
Were you wearing a watch by chance when it happened?
No, I don't wear a watch because a watch won't keep time on me. Now, the reason I say it won't keep time on, I've tried every kind to be thought of. And when I was in Korea, we'd capture those North Koreans, the Chinese. They'd be took all kinds of watches off the GI. And I tried every kind of watch I could think of. They wouldn't keep correct time on me.
I was wondering if you knew how long that you had been.
No, we don't know. We don't know. We went back several times to try to reenact it, how long it possibly could have been. It could have been 2 or 3 hours, or it could have been less than that. We don't know.
Now, you always hear about possibly like implants or something, some kind of device that they put on you. Have you ever been checked to see if when that thing was scanning you, that it put something in your skin or something like that? Or?
No, the only thing that got me concerned now, I use the VA hospital. They take care of all my needs. They found something on the back of my eyeball, like a little knot. And they don't know what it is. Well, a long time ago they found it. They don't know what this is. And they even sent me to New Orleans to a cancer doctor. They thought it might be a cancer in the back of my eyeball. And it's not changing. They check me every 6 months. And that could possibly be something they implanted. I don't know.
It's just like a sty or something like that?
Oh, it's on the back of my eyeball. I'm on the back side. You're like a little bump there. That's what they tell me, what the doctors tell me,
Was this your first experience, you remember, when you were younger, or even now? Are you still getting visited? Or?
Well, I didn't know it at that time, but under hypnosis, I don't want to elaborate on this very much. I did find out that, yes, I had been contacted when I was young in Jones County years ago. And I'm not prepared to talk about that. And yes, I've been in contact a lot of times with them since then. But I'm not going to talk about that today either. But I will when the time comes.
But I know you don't want to get into it, but the type of contact, is it you like getting a feeling, or you don't physically see them anymore?
No. Well, I did. It's in the book. We saw. It was a different craft. My entire family was with me. The next year, on Mother's Day, we went home to spend Mother's Day on the farm with my mother and Dad, and we would come back late at night. And it was a big ship. My wife became hysterical, and my daughter, she's grown now, had 2 kids. She was a baby. It woke her. She was screaming. And I was trying to get out and go to the grass, just what was on the side, and him wouldn't let me go. And my entire family almost saw that. So we didn't want to publish it. I wrote about it in the book. But, it's something I won't never get over, and I don't know I don't know how it all going to initially turn out. I don't know. But I got a feeling that I'll live to see it. That there won't be any doubt in anyone's mind that there's other worlds out there that has life on it. It's going to be proven. I was lecturing one time with Jenny Dixon, and you know who Jenny Dixon is? In St. Petersburg, Florida. And when I arrived there, she told them that she wanted to talk to me when I got there. So I went up to her suite, and she asked everybody to leave. And she took a reading on me and wanted to talk with me. And she told me, she said, I know this happened to you. And Calvin. But then, so I was going everywhere people wanted me to go. I'd go. I wanted everybody to know about it then. It wasn't making no money, but I mean, you know, I was doing it. I'd lay off one and do it. Anyhow, she told me, she said, you need to slow down. She said, you'll prove one day that this happened to you. She said, you will kill yourself at the rate that to face your boy. And I asked her, I said, Miss Dixon, I said, do you have any idea where these things might have come from? She told me, yes, I do. She said that I think they come from a small moon off of Jupiter. We know now that there's 9 or 11 moons that Jupiter has. They found one now with possibility of with water on it, life. So maybe it's close by than we think it is. Jupiter's so big, we don't know what's about the home. We don't know Jupiter. So I don't know. I just don't know.
Have you ever thought about it? Maybe crossed your mind the last 28 years why, or even longer than that, when you were growing up, why they might have chosen you for some reason, or?
I don't know. The only thing I can figure there is that when I know something to be the truth, ain't nobody gonna change my mind. I think they wanted me to know. And back then, you know, people wouldn't even talk about UFOs. And now it's a common word, you know, household word, UFO, everybody knows about them. So I think they want people to know that whenever they do come down, it won't be so bad. But can you imagine what would happen if the president would come on air now and tell us that we're going to be visited from another world out there somewhere? What might happen? And I don't think they want that either.
Now, you went to Keystone, obviously, you were interviewed by some folks there. Did they ever say, hey, we don't want you to talk about this, or you didn't actually see what you saw? You know, we always hear about that.
No.
Well, how did they deal with you? I mean, how have they been? Have they ever contacted you anymore? Or?
Oh, yeah. I've talked to many people from the military and scientists. I've talked to people from NASA. They've come to my home and talked with me. And you'd be surprised with the scientists that I've talked to that they know there's other worlds out there with life on it. And no, my family's never had any ridicule. I've never had any ridicule. In fact, we've more friends than we've ever had in our lives now. And my daughter was in school. Her classmates, they wanted to, you know, to talk to me, want to see what happened. And so they come home with her, you know, and they were really enthused. Because the young people are going to have to deal with this some of these days, you know. So we've never received any ridicule at all.
So in your opinion, that this is what you... Let me try to fix that cord. Someone's taking the cord and just fell over there real quick. That's not true.
Yeah, sorry.
No, not at all.
But it's real.
That's what I was going to ask you, if you think that it's, this isn't some kind of military experiment or something like that.
No, it couldn't have been, no. No, it couldn't have been. It had to have been real, something from another world out there somewhere.
And you said that some people that didn't say anything back then have kind of contacted you?
Oh, yeah. Now, in that book there's a couple of people in Pascagoula that already said then that they had saw it. I've had a man write me from Atlanta, Georgia, just a little while back. He told us that Mr. Dixon said it's been a long time. So I finally want to tell you that me and two more of my friends saw that night. We were small boys. And said we were so afraid we wouldn't tell nobody and wouldn't come out then. But he wrote me a long letter and told me that we did see that night. And then there was a lady that was out back, somewhere over there, that was in the evening, in the summertime, hanging her clothes on the line. And she said she saw some kind of crash. Looked like it was coming over that way. And they had a lot of people saw it. They was a Sunday school superintendent, music teacher, and I don't know who all.
Could be more than have not,
They saw that crash. They wouldn't come forward in it. They didn't want to get ridiculed. They thought it'd be they would be ridiculed for doing it, They didn't believe things then. But,
so now you said, I remember you said it was like a crackling or a buzzing sound?
Like a buzzing sound. Just like a buzzing, like air, maybe air escaping from a pipe.
Okay.
And it went off.
And it was silent?
Silent. I didn't hear anything, no engine sound, or these things didn't make any noise at all.
You didn't smell any fuel or anything like that? No jet fuel or something?
No, I didn't get any odor at all.
And when you went back out there to check it out again, could you see it was hovering? It wasn't like on the ground,
It wasn't
right?
on the ground.
So there wouldn't be any marks or anything?
Wasn't any marks. There was a lot of people went out there that said they did see something unusual, but I doubt that because it never touched the ground. And I know you read Eric Von Daniken's Chariots of the Gods. And he came over here, and he wanted to talk with me. And we went out there, and he took, I don't know how many pictures of the place. And he was real enthused about it. He told me that there's no doubt in my mind it happened.
Now there's, obviously yours and Calvin's story is a very famous story. There's Travis Walton out there in Arizona, and then of course Betty and Barney Hill. Now there's thousands, maybe even 1 million people claim to have been maybe abducted or made some kind of contact. Do you think that a lot of times those people might be exaggerating those stories, might not be as believable?
Well, it could be. I don't know. It could be. Now, if this thing happened to me, I got a letter from Betty Hill in Newport, New Hampshire. And she invited me up there to let's talk about it. She was, maybe these things were the same. So I grabbed a plane to Boston, and William and Dad helped me right to move. He met me in Boston. We got to rent a car and drove on out to Portland. And I spent a couple of days and nights there talking with Betty. And she wanted to believe that it was the same thing, but it wasn't. I told her, I said, they don't resemble the things that you saw. I said, these things were robots. And then I talked with Travis Walton. He's a friend of mine now. I talked with him a long time in Aspen, Colorado. We was out there in the glacier, and we talked there a long time, then back to Denver on the plane. And that happened to him. I know that happened to him in Betty Hill. But anybody else, I don't know.
Of course, they made a movie out of his experience. Has anyone ever approached you about doing it?
Oh, yeah, like I wouldn't do it. I just didn't want to do it. But now, I'm having talked with some people now. It's been so long now. And it's cost me a lot of money. It's cost me a lot of time and away from my job, away from my family. But now, I'm going to see if I'm going to make some money on it.
Do you have any regrets that you were there, that place, at that time? I mean,
I've thought about that a million times, and I don't wish it hadn't have happened to me. But now I know that there's another world out there somewhere, and I've had an opportunity to meet some of the most brilliant scientists in the world, and I've met a lot of people, UFO investigators, and everybody else from all over the country and all over the world. And no, I don't wish it hadn't happened to me.
You think about all these, it seems like maybe it was 15 years ago or so around here on the Gulf Coast, there's a lot of so-called, sightings that were starting to happen, or people were getting some videotaped footage. Do you think those were, real sightings? What, the Gulf Breeze sightings or something like that?
Forgive me, Lord, if I'm wrong, but that was a fake. That didn't happen. I went down there with Bud. You know who Bud Hopkins is.
Mm-hmm.
Bud came down from New York. I've become real good. He's been there several times. We've become real good friends. And he wanted me to go with him over to if that thing happened over there in Tulsa. Right. To people. There were some people that was working for him that had a photograph of a thing that he made and filmed. So that was all a fake. It wasn't real. And all them Gulf Breeze sightings they say now, a bunch of bullshit. But excuse my language.
That's okay. That's fine.
But it's not right. Most of those things are from that airport or Air Force base down there, a couple Air Force bases.
Let's see. Pretty much. Do you think that these aliens or the extraterrestrials, could they be from, maybe 1,000 years in the future? Are they like time travelers maybe? Or did you get the technology to be able to do what they're doing?
No, I don't think. I think they have the means to come to Earth. I don't know how. When I thought about it and talked with a lot of people, it could be their mind, to travel with their mind. I honestly believe that we could use 40 or 50% of our brain more. We could move mountains. We could do anything. Maybe that's the way they travel. Well, you say, why do they bring a spaceship? Well, they got to have things in the spaceship to do the tests when they get here. But probably I'm wrong, but I believe that they do it with their mind. That's why they trust them.
How much do you think the government knows about this? Do you think that
they know a lot about it? Yeah.
Do you think they've actually made contact with some of these beings?
I think so. I've talked with some of the astronauts. I talked with Jim McDivitt. He's one of the first in New York. And he told me that whenever they were up there in outer space, they had the rockets all, and he said that the other two astronauts were asleep, and they had their cameras on all the time, and said that he saw three objects coming in their direction that it looked like it was going to be a collision, they're on a collision course. So he told me that he called Houston Control and told them, and they give him permission to fire the rockets and move out of the way. But he said before we fired the rockets, that they swerved and missed them, and said he had it on the camera. And so when they got back down there, said that they told him that there wasn't anything on the film. But he said it had to have been. He said he told him there wasn't anything on the film.
This is Marina, California, right outside of Fort Ord.
Yes.
My wife and I were coming back from San Francisco. We was on Highway 1 going south toward Fort Ord. We were stationed there. And my wife noticed, as I did also, when we slowed the car down, this kind of looked like a hovering or some type of a platform right above us. It had kind of a triangular shape to it, if not more or less like a boomerang, what my wife described it as. And we turned around and went back to check out the immediate sighting of it. And we noted it was going off, in the opposite direction. We followed it for about 4 or 5 miles onto the Fort Ord Reservation. It wasn't exactly over Fort Ord, but we could see it. We knew the area well enough to follow it in that direction. And we noticed, too, that the lighting set up on it was just, normal lights on your airplanes, all different kind of colors, but these were kind of just red, and then there was one white, which gave way to kind of an undercarriage. And, we called into the air traffic approach here in Monterey Airport, and they had nothing listed on their sighting.
I see.
But we followed it up
was moving away from you, which direction was it going?
Well, from us, it would be heading in a, southerly direction towards Southern California in this respect. Southeastern direction.
Okay, and which direction were you driving, north or south?
We were driving north to south.
North to south, okay.
Highway Coast Road, Highway 1.
Uh-huh. And where was the object when you first spotted it? That is, in what part of the sky?
Normally, like you see something in the sky, it's on, kind of high, just like a star would be.
Yes.
Along that line. Well, my wife, we saw it crossing. She saw it first, and she saw, just an aircraft, a low-flying aircraft. And then when I spotted on my driver's side, I just had to look straight up, just kind of veer over toward my windshield or my window on the side where I was driving. And could see it plain as day, and it wasn't moving. You know how you're driving or you're moving away from an object and it's stationary.
Right.
And it either gets smaller with the distance you're going away or whatever.
Yes.
And, it just stayed right there, and then she watched it, and I slowed down so we could come across the island where the highway was and go back up toward it. We noticed it veering off into the trees, and then as we stopped, I passed the area where we saw it and backed up, and before we could make any other identification, it was hovering away toward the southeast or southwest direction.
Okay, do you have any idea of just how close you got to that object?
Well, just from the first side of it, like I say, my wife said there was 2 or 3 red lights, and I only saw 2 red lights and 1 white. And from what the white projection was, it looked like an undercarriage, some type of an aircraft, whatever. It wasn't a case of being a saucer or anything like this, but the white lended to the shape that it would be in.
I see.
So the outline was definite, to where it was kind of a triangular pyramid, this type of thing.
Right. Do you have any idea, did this appear metallic?
Just a moment. What, Kate? Right, I would think to say it would seem metallic. The whites would really, gave me the impression anyway that, hey, wow, this is really a definite shape. And I thought maybe it was a communications platform, but we've passed this place numerous times, day and night. Never noticed any radio communication towers there or have been erected at this time. Kind of,
Do you have any estimate of size?
Oh. Hey, Kate? Wait a minute. My wife said, it was big enough to be an airplane, from the distance that we were from it. You can take your thumb and blot out the sun just looking at it.
Right.
This was, I'd say as big as the sun, by blotting it out with your thumb.
Okay.
And when it took off, it moved at a very rapid pace to where the blinking lights it moved so swiftly that the size or any shape that you saw was definitely, you couldn't tell. Just
turned into a blur of some kind?
Right.
Okay.
And as we saw it, tracing it on down the highway, it had kind of a zigzag pattern. And then we noted when it would stop, and then move on at its own pace, stop again. And then we noticed near the Monterey Airport where air traffic was there, we saw a few airplanes flying. And as the thing went up into the overcast, the zigzagging and the aircraft that was leaving the Monterey Airport, whether it had anything to do with it or not, and approaching the same immediate area or near the, just looking in the sky, you'd see drawing toward each other.
Yes.
Then it disappeared.
Did you notice any problems with your vehicle when that object was in sight?
Not that I noted. We had discussed this ourselves. We said, wow, here we are tracing this thing. That's all we need, something to take over the powers of the car or whatever, type of thing. And we actually, I guess, got a little hyper for the fact that, the similarities. We saw some lights that were what we were looking at. We thought, wow, we said, hey, this thing's coming back. Like maybe it had a sensory device or something that since we saw it, this type of thing.
Yes.
And we followed that down, ended up to be radio towers in the immediate area. But, we just kept thinking, we've seen a few of the other write-ups and things they've had on UFOs.
Right.
We've seen one of the 2 latter films that were just released on it.
this upset you quite a bit?
Enough to say that the incident in San Jose here about 2 months back, where the people said that they wanted to meet a number of people who wanted to go, this type of thing.
Yes.
If that was a true incident, I think we'd be prospects, that had to be to go test it out.
Yes.
I do believe, my wife and I believe not so much in the hereafter, but there's things out there, and we can't understand or comprehend, but be willing to take a beam up and check it out. That type of situation, as long as you weren't harmed or whatever.
Right. Would you fill out a questionnaire if we send it down to you?
I think so.
Okay. And in the meantime, would you make some notes of this so you don't forget?
Right, we put it on paper and we sketched out what we saw.
Oh, fine. Excellent.
And we got the weather that we saw and the time and the day. Projections as far as what directions and things of this nature.
Okay, and that was seen this evening, right?
Right, it was seen at, I'd say about 8:45 this evening.
Okay. We sure appreciate your calling, and we'll get that questionnaire in the mail.
Okay, real fine. Thank
and
you
if we get any more information on this particular incident, we'll get back to you and let you know.
Okay, real fine.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I live in Fort Worth, Texas.
Yes.
And I would like to ask if there was an extremely now, brilliant, bright orange moon Friday morning between 4 and 4:30. It was so glowing around it. It was across the street from my house when I looked out the window. I've never seen the moon that brilliant or that large and that orange with that brilliance around it.
Are you talking about a full moon?
Well, yes, but I've been looking at the moon before and after that day, and I have never seen the moon.
No, there's no full moon.
Ever look like that?
No. Did you see this in your area?
Yes, I did. It was right across the street from me.
Okay.
I guess you would say hanging above my neighbor's house. I can't imagine the size of it. I know that I can put my arms up and make it look huge, but no telling how big it would have been in the sky. I just know that it was big.
This was like a full moon?
Yes, just extremely brilliant.
Okay.
And I watched, to begin with, while I watched it, we have a dog, and she barked. And I assumed that she had woke me up, and I assumed that she had heard a cat, and I let her out our back door. And while I was waiting for her to come back in, I walked through our den, and I noticed the light coming in through my front window.
Yes.
And I went to the door, and I thought, my goodness, I've never seen the moon so bright. So I went into my living room and pulled my drapes, and I was just amazed at the brilliance of this color and all. And so I stood and I watched it. And my eyes started to bother me. And so I left the room. I thought, well, maybe it's just so bright, and I shouldn't be staring at it. And so I went into the other room. And when I came back, it was still there, but it had started to move. And it had moved further into the west. And I guess it would be about the size of what I would say, what I call a regular moon, which is small. It was red, just at the top. And then as it started to move between the houses, I went outside and I got up on top of the bumper part of our car, and I watched it because it looked like it had taken an uneven shape from the top, like it was dark. And I looked down to the ground because I was afraid I might lose my balance. And when I looked up, it was gone.
Okay. Now you say this was right across the street?
Yes.
Hovering over the house?
Yes. I mean, it wasn't just right on top of it.
Right.
But, it was over it because it was just right in front of my front window, right above the house across the street.
Any estimate on how far off of the roof?
Oh, goodness. We live up on a hill, and it's kind of hard to, the houses across the street are higher than my house.
Oh, I see.
I would say 4 or 5 feet, maybe more.
Okay.
But it was probably more, but I would say at least that much.
Okay, now while you were watching this, did the color and brightness remain about the same as it was hovering over the house?
Yes, until the brilliance around the object changed.
Uh-huh.
And when I looked out, as I was in the house and started to go through, we live right off of I-20, and we have an overpass, and the trucks go back and forth, make a strange sound when they go over the bridge.
Right.
I heard that. Yet when I went to the window and looked out, there was no sound. I couldn't hear anything. I was just taken by this, by the glowing of it, the brilliance and the size of it all. It was just so terribly, terribly quiet. And I looked up and down our street because it was so bright. We do have a few homes with gas lanterns, out in the front yards. And I thought, well, maybe it's between them and the moon that makes this look so brilliant. But when my eyes started to kind of burn and I started to have a headache, is when I left and went into the other room because I thought, well, maybe I shouldn't be staring at it like this with the naked eye. And when I came back, the glowing around it was not as bright, and it just dimmed away, and then it seemed like the outside came back into perspective, like just regular night, regular lights from the neon signs that are up, and house lights and what have you.
But at this brightness there was a glow from the object, did that block all of that out while you were looking at it? In other words, was it so bright that these other lighted fixtures and so forth could not be seen?
Well, I didn't notice them.
Okay.
I know they're there because I see them every day, but I guess I was so amazed at it. It's so hard to explain it because it was as if they didn't exist to a certain extent because I was not concentrating, on anything else. I was just so amazed by the size and all of what I thought was the moon.
Now, would you say that this object in diameter was bigger than the house itself? It seemed to overlap the sides of the house.
Well, it seemed to cover. I wouldn't say that it overlapped the whole house, but I would say it took probably the whole middle section of it.
Okay.
I mean, it was that big around.
And this was Friday morning?
Yes, because when I got up, when our dog barked, I looked at a clock. I have a big clock on my wall, and it said 4 o'clock. When after I came back into the house, after it was gone, I looked at the clock again because I had to look at it as I come into the house. It said 4:30.
Okay.
And then I heard our dog scratching to be let back in.
Okay. Did you hear any other dogs barking outdoors?
No, and we have many, many dogs on our area. No, I just heard our one. The only thing that I think that unless she didn't hear a cat was that she was sleeping in the front bedroom on our son's bed, and either the bright light, she may have thought it was a car coming through the window, she may have thought it was a car, and she barked.
Uh-huh.
But she only barked one time.
Okay. And this whole event took about 30 minutes?
Yes, sir.
From 4 to 4:30, okay.
Yes. And when it went away, it was, I don't know, it seemed like it just got smaller, like it was kind of lopsided on top. I don't know if that was the night, if it was going away, getting smaller, or what it was. It would just seem like it appeared to get dark from the top down.
Okay. Do you know the people in the house that it was hovering over?
Yes, sir.
Have you talked to them?
No. I haven't even told my husband.
Uh-huh. Okay.
For one thing, he doesn't like me to go out at night because he doesn't want me outside.
Right. Okay. Have you had any additional trouble with your eyes?
Well, that is true. I had some eye surgery performed on it in October.
Uh-huh.
And so when I first was looking at it, it's just that I had muscle surgery done to bring the eye back into focus.
Yes.
I thought, well, maybe that's why it's burning. It's because I had some eye surgery.
But have you had any trouble since this event?
No, sir.
Okay, how about the headaches?
No.
No problem. Okay, have you
I just
had...
figured it was because it was so bright and that I had had eye surgery.
Did you have any other unusual physical sensations while all this was going on?
No, just that it was, well, as I said, when I went in there and I had heard a truck, but after everything else seemed to just not be there, I guess you would say. I never heard the trucks going on the overpass. I live only a mile and a half from Carswell Air Force Base, approximately a mile and a half from Carswell Air Force Base. I heard no planes, and yet I know that they fly back and forth all the time. I just didn't hear anything.
Okay.
It was just kind of peaceful and tranquil.
Seemed to be watched by this thing.
Well, gosh, I don't know if you'd say watched. It was just over it.
Right.
He is a captain in the Air Force.
Okay.
Is this, I mean, am I seeing things?
No, ma'am. As a matter of fact, I was on duty during the early AM hours about a week ago, and we got a call from another lady in Fort Worth who has described the identical thing that you've described.
Oh, I see.
Only this object was hovering over the home just next door to them.
I see.
So something is going on down there.
Well, I haven't said anything to anyone because, people have a tendency to kind of laugh at you.
Okay, would you be willing to talk to someone if we could get them into that area?
Yes.
We'd like to get a complete picture of exactly what went on.
All right.
Okay, where did you get our number?
Well, I had called the Fort Worth Police Department.
Okay. Well, we appreciate this report, and if we come up with any additional information on this, why, we'll be more than happy to get back to you and let you know.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for calling.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I would like to report a UFO.
Okay.
I live in St. Mary's, Idaho,
Yes.
and we were on our way home from Spokane last night. It was about 6:15 when we saw it. You think I'm dumb?
No, ma'am.
Anyway, it scared us to death, but it was me and my 4 kids, and we were right between Rockford and Worley, if you know where that's at.
Yes, I do.
And I don't remember exact location, but we seen this light. It was coming from the way we were headed. And at first I thought it was like a light from a radio, station or something.
Yes.
One of those deals. And only it wasn't red. It was a bright light. And the kids thought it was an airplane. I said it was too bright for that. And the closer we got and it came towards us, the brighter it got. And it was getting kind of interesting, and I thought, well, I'm going to pull over there beside the road and see if I can't, we can't get a better look at it. And when we pulled over, the thing came hoovering down right above us. And I never believed in UFOs before, but that thing scared me to death. It just was a great, great big light, a great big dome light on the top of it. And then you could tell it was shaped like, like people describe a flying saucer. Because,
like a disc?
Huh?
Disc-shaped?
Well, it was, I don't know what disc shape is. I mean, it had like a great, a dome on top and then like a saucer thing on the bottom, and there was 2 lights blinking on both ends of it. And I just was petrified, I didn't know, and we just sit there staring at it, and I started to take off down that road. It scared me so bad, and then I thought, no, I'm not going to do that. I mean, what if it was something from outer space and trying to get us or something? So I backed out onto the highway. And when I started to go on down the road then, it started heading like over towards Spokane. And there was other cars, and I don't know if they seen it or reported it. They surely must have seen it. And I was going to report it when I first got home last night and call down the local station, but my husband said, no, he wasn't with us. He says, people think I was crazy, not to report it. And then I just couldn't stop thinking about it all night. And the funny thing was, I was even imagining But anyway, we watched that thing when we pulled off down the highway, and it went over towards Spokane. And then I stopped after there was no cars behind me. I wanted to stop and see if I could see it, you know. And I got out of the car, and it looked like it was headed back over towards us. And then it started over alongside the mountains and just went until we couldn't see it anymore on the other side of the mountains. And then I was scared test driving all the rest of the way home. I kept thinking every light I seen, I was seeing something, you know. And then when we got into town, there was a light. It looked like it was a ways off, but right over, not too far from where we live, I could see a bright light, and it was there for, you know, for about an hour. And then I looked out later, and it was gone.
Okay. About what time did that happen?
6:15, because I asked my kids if they looked at the watch, you know, and about 6:30 I thought about what time it was, you know, that it happened, and then said he did look at his watch, and it was 6:15.
Okay, which highway were you driving on?
I think that's Highway 95. I don't know. Oh. I'm not very good. I just know my way over there.
That. Okay, now when you first saw this light, did it appear to be over the highway at a distance?
Over the highway?
Yes, I mean, was it, were you driving directly towards it?
Well, we were driving, no, not really, but then our road's kind of curvy.
Yes.
From there to here, and really what it looked like, it could have been off the side. I don't think so. I really don't think so.
And the object, or the light stopped directly overhead?
Yes, because we could see it, and either it was big or it was close to us.
Okay.
One or the other.
Okay, now.
But it was bright.
Do you have any estimate of how big? Can you compare it with anything?
Oh, we were so scared. Can you compare that with anything about how big it was? All I know is that it had to be pretty big to be able to even... I don't know. I really don't.
Okay. Was it as big as your car?
I'd say it was as big as my car.
Okay. Okay, now, do you have any estimate as
how high it was from the ground? More like that, because I just don't.
Okay, now, could you hear any sound?
No, we couldn't. It was no sound. I mean, we couldn't hear anything at all.
Did it maintain its brilliance, the same brilliance at all times?
Yeah, but the closer it got, it was really bright, you know.
Okay. Then you could definitely...
Oh, I know one other thing. But then we got into Worley. Now, I didn't know whether I was just scared or what, but we got into Worley, and I was going to stop there and report it at a place, but there was nothing open.
Yes.
But there was something right above the town that looked like might have been the base of that thing, but the dome light wasn't shining. You know, it was just like, how many lights were on that thing? 4, 5, 6 or something, and they were all different colors, and it was just like right up in the sky, but there was no big dome light, you know, and I couldn't have told what the object was or anything. It was just some big bright, not big lights, just like, they were colored lights, and they were up in the sky.
Okay. Did those lights remain stationary
Those
on
colored
the
ones?
object? Yes.
Yeah, it was just standing still.
Okay. And about how long would you say that it remained directly over you until you started pulling away?
Yes. Oh, I was scared. Oh.
Did this give off a glow which lit up the ground area?
I didn't look at the ground. I didn't,
Okay. Did you have any unusual physical or mental feelings while it was hovering overhead?
Just scared, just like I was wanting to take right off and go down that road, and then I didn't do it.
Okay.
But I prayed before I went to Spokane and asked the Lord to watch over us and give us traveling mercy. That sounds dumb, but I don't care. I thought it scared me to death. I thought, what if that could have been somebody that we went down that road and they could have, who knows?
Okay, did you have any problems with your car while this was close by?
No.
Okay.
No.
Were you playing the radio at the time?
No, because I don't like to listen to it.
And then this just moved away, just out of sight.
Yeah, but it was like behind us going, and I was driving, so I couldn't really watch it.
Right. Okay.
But it took quite a ways before it got out of sight, because I went quite a ways down the road until the cars behind me weren't behind me anymore. And then And then I stopped the car on the highway and got out and looked myself. And it looked like it was headed back over towards where we were. And then it went and headed back the other way, and we watched it until, then I could see it out my window as I was driving. We watched it until it disappeared on the other side of those mountains.
Okay, but when it was hovering over you, you didn't get out of the car, did you?
No, oh my goodness, I was so scared. We were so scared we couldn't. I mean, it was just...
Okay, then you were looking, had you rolled down the window?
No, it was right, we could look right out our front window, and it was just like right out, right up there. I mean, it might have been pretty close, because otherwise we wouldn't have been able to see it so well, could we?
Okay, were the children in the back seat?
Two of my oldest ones are in the front with me, and my two little ones are in the back.
Okay, could the little ones in the back see it when they looked out the window?
Could you see it when you looked out the front window or the side window when we were stopped? You couldn't see it out the front window when we were stopped there. He had to look out the side window, but could you see it good out the side window? Yeah, he said he could see it good out.
Okay, then it was either real close or awful big then.
Yeah.
Okay, and were there 4 children with you?
Yes.
What were their ages?
13 and a half. One's almost 12. Okay. And then one that's 8 and a half. And then my little one's 3 today.
Okay. This happened at 6:15 last night.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, has there been was there anybody else that's reported that? Because there was other cars. In fact, when we got into town, this truck pulled over at this cafe, and I was almost tempted to stop and ask him if he's seen anything, you know. Mm-hmm. But nobody else reported anything last night?
No, ma'am. Now, when you were sitting there watching that, and it was directly overhead, was there any other traffic coming by?
There was a car in front of us a few times, because I wanted to pull over quite a few times, and I couldn't find, before we stopped, I wanted to pull over a lot of times, but I couldn't because of the traffic was behind me or in front of me. And so there was a lot of other people on the road, and that's the reason I was curious. I even sat up and watched the news last night thinking that it was going to be something on there that somebody reported, you know, because I really thought that somebody would report it.
Okay, now, but do you remember when you were stopped and the thing was directly overhead, if the other traffic was going by you?
No, we were to the back of the highway.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you know, I pulled off like it was another road going out the other way.
Oh, I see.
But the kids, when we were pulled off the side of the road looking at that thing, do you know if there was any other cars going behind us? Ben? No, when we pulled off the side of the road, and, you know, and that thing was right over the top of us, was there any, did you notice, or was you too scared? Was there any cars going along the highway behind us? When we were parked there looking at that thing, you noticed the car behind us? But that thing wasn't real close to us when we first stopped. I don't know.
Okay, that's okay. And where did you get our number?
Well, we called the information, and they gave us a number, and nobody answered, and then we called, they gave us another number in Spokane at a weather place, and then he looked up a number and gave us this number.
Okay. Okay, we'll get on this right away, and if we come up with any information, we'll get back to you and let you know.
Oh, I appreciate that, because I just really want to know if I was crazy or if we really seen something that wasn't supposed to be.
Okay, and if we're able to get somebody in to talk to you, would you willing to discuss this with them?
Yes.
So we would really like to get some diagrams.
Yeah, I think the kids, you know, and all of us together, because after it left, you know, we were trying to describe it, and we all three described it just exactly how we seen it.
Okay.
It was really scary.
Well, it's still fresh in your mind. It might be a good idea to draw a sketch of what you did see, so you don't forget any of the details.
Well, my little one is trying to tell me the thing, and the one we seen in Worley. The one we seen in Worley, he says, was in the shape of a cross. Now, I don't remember seeing that in the shape of a cross. It was just like some lights up there. I don't even know if that was that thing or not, you know.
Right.
Oh, I don't know. But could that have been the same thing without the big light on top?
Well, that would be hard to tell.
Oh, it just seemed like the thing was following us.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the report.
Mm-hmm.
Bye-bye. sir?
Yes, this is Officer Gravy with the Colusa Police Department in Colusa, California.
Yes, sir.
And we've just received 2 reports of UFOs, and we're with one subject now, and we figured it'd be easier if he could describe it to you, or we've never called your number before, so we really don't know what the procedure is on it. But we just had a complete power outage in the county, and when this fellow walked outside when he spotted it, and that's when another lady who was a reserve on our department also spotted it.
Now, you say one party's with you?
Right, I'm calling from his home now.
Okay, do you have the name to the other party also?
Okay, the other party is Elaine McGowan, and you can usually reach her via the Colusa County Sheriff's Office.
Okay.
She's a reserve there, part-time dispatcher.
Okay, you're with the other party now?
Right, would you like to talk to him?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Hello?
Good evening, or good morning, I should say.
Yeah, I'm very sorry to having to bother you.
No problem at all. We'd like to hear about what you saw.
Well, I never used to believe in it, but I do now. Around 1 o'clock, the power went off. And I have power running from my shop to my house, and I figured maybe it blew a fuse in there. I've been watching television. And I went outside, very dark, with no lights anywhere, and had this funny feeling like static electricity around me or something. I don't know. I couldn't figure out what was wrong. I looked up behind the barn, which is right behind my house, and this giant object like an upside-down cup was just there, hovering, not making a sound, but weird-looking lights. And I ran back in the house to get my wife, and it was already about like 5 or 10 miles away. And it was coming back this time with 3 giant beams on the ground, lighting up the whole surface of the ground.
Uh-huh.
And my neighbor has a crop dusting outfit behind my field, and it lit their house up, and it was shining these weird lights out, like spotlights. They wasn't going out too far, but they were far apart, and it would come right for the house again, so I grabbed my kids out of bed, and we ran to the car and got in a pickup. And the damn thing followed us until we got to the cemetery, and then I had to hit my brake lights, because I was driving no lights, to get over the hump. And when I did that, it took off like a flash off to the right and went off towards the Sacramento area. And there was more than one, but I didn't have a chance to look at the other. This one's too damn close, you know.
Yes.
But it was hanging over the barn, and it had this funny electricity stuff bothering you. I mean, it's like you get a tingle, you know.
You could feel that in your body then?
All the way through.
Okay.
And I'm still shaking.
Uh-huh. Okay, now going back to when you first saw this, how close to the ground was it?
He was about 50 feet and counting the barn. He was right above the barn.
And how far away from you would you say?
Well, I would say within 100 feet from my house to the barn.
100 feet, okay. And it was shaped like an upside-down cup?
Right.
Is that all you could see? Now, could you see?
I couldn't see above it because at that point, it was too many weird-looking lights drawing your attention. I just couldn't take time to look the whole thing. It just scared me, you know.
Uh-huh.
But I did look at it for a good 2 minutes. I mean, I stood there, I was froze. And it doesn't make a sound.
Okay, could you see a surface?
Yes, when it took off, it looks like an upside-down, well, I hate to say this, but do you know the movie they have on TV called The Invaders?
Yes.
Okay, it looks identical to that.
Okay, were there any openings?
I can't see. There's too much bright light.
Too much light, too much outside glow.
Light.
Okay, right,
Of a neon color.
Right. Now, did this light up the ground under it?
But it didn't light the ground up on the barn until it took off over there, and it stopped, and it had 3 lights. It lit up the ground under it in a huge, big circle.
Now, were these shafts of light that came down from the bottom of the object?
Well, this center one was a huge light that went straight down.
Uh-huh.
And then it had one out in front that went down on the ground, and then it had one on left and right of it that showed on there were power poles with the power poles on the 2047, and it looked like it was shining lights right on those electrical transformers.
Right on the transformers.
And the lights was already out all over the whole valley, but it came, when I called the wife to the window, it was coming right at us again. And it had these giant lights, but this time it only had one light. There was a beam, a huge big beam, I'd say a couple 300 feet in diameter on the ground, coming right at us. And I panicked and grabbed the kids, and we took off with no lights.
Okay, but did you have any trouble with the car or anything while you were driving?
No, I just fired it up, and it's a Chevrolet, you know, it takes a little bit, and I put it in reverse and backed out, and naturally the backup lights come on, and that scared me because I figured it's going to see us, you know.
Uh-huh.
And it came right over Bailey's trees, which is the next door neighbor to us, and they were eucalyptus pretty tall. And it just seems to know how to act to manipulate it, you know, on the ground maneuver. And it doesn't make a sound. That's what's weird.
And this followed you into town?
It followed me right along the side of us, within about 100 yards from us, and I made the turn on the main road and hit it towards town as fast as I could with no light. It was right there, and I was getting pretty panicked, and my wife was too. But when I hit the railroad track, there's quite a little hump over it, and I put the brakes, and the brake lights came on bright red, and I figured, oh, Christ, he's really going to find us now, you know.
Uh-huh.
And it took off behind us on the right of us and took off towards the Sacramento area. And it just went all that way so fast, you can't believe it.
Did it change in appearance at all when it took off at high rate of speed?
It can make any turns it wants.
I mean, did the glow around it increase?
It turns soft blue. I mean, kind of a purplish blue.
When it took off?
When it takes off, yeah.
Okay. Now, then, during this whole experience, at no time you saw any kind of a surface, right?
Just an outline of a shadow, you know.
Oh, okay.
Like I say, I seen a good look of it there at the barn.
Right.
But the underneath's got some weird-looking things on it. That's what startled me. You know?
Did it have any colored lights on it?
Yes. It's kind of a frosty light. You know, it's not they're just like a neon light.
Right.
And there's a series of little teeny things that go through the light, like little neon tubes.
Did any member of your family have this feeling also?
No, I woke them out of sound sleep.
Okay, then the only time you had this tingling sensation would be outside. Okay.
But it looked like to me it was drawing electricity out of the power poles or something, because it had these beams on these transformers.
Okay, now were these just high voltage lines, or were they the large transmission lines?
Well, see, we have irrigation pumps on the canal.
Oh, yes.
And they're quite, I don't know how many voltage, but they're quite a bit. And they're big, huge transformers, so I don't know if it was just looking at them or if it's drawing energy from them, but it looked like to me it was drawing something from them.
Uh-huh, okay. Now, how big was this object? Is there any estimates?
No, beg your pardon?
How large was the object?
I don't want to, I hate to guess.
Could you compare it with...
I would say it was as big as around as my whole barn. And the barn is pretty old, but it covered the whole top of it.
Uh-huh.
And the barn is probably like 75 by maybe 50, and it goes up pretty tall.
Okay. Do you have any livestock on the farm?
No, I just got two animals, a cat and a dog. It's in the shop.
Okay. Can we have your name, sir?
Yes, sir. Mr. Bill Pecha. P-E-C-H-A. It's actually Billy Benson, but I don't like Billy, so I can say it's Bill.
And your wife saw this?
My wife seen it right out the window.
And what was your wife's first name?
Linda Pecha.
And your children saw it?
My children sees the light, but they were scared and asleep.
Okay.
We woke them out.
All right. Did the police department get any additional reports on that?
Yes. I called my neighbors because I was very worried about them when I got to town because it had this huge light over their house. And they own the airport. And I called her and she said that they were asleep. They didn't hear anything or nothing. I told her it didn't make a sound. And I didn't want to tell her that I was waking her up, scaring her. And she said she kind of believes in it too, but she would keep an eye out.
Okay. How long did the power outage last?
Well, I'd say within about, I can't tell you everything going on. I didn't want to stay in the dark because I didn't want to be seen.
Uh-huh.
I think about maybe 15 minutes or 20 minutes.
And this covered the whole county?
Yes, it did. Everything was black around here. I didn't know until they told me that the whole county was knocked down.
You said that there was more than one object.
Yes, there were three. I'm pretty sure there were three because there was the other two things going away. Is it coming towards us? And that's when I figured holy hell's going to break loose. I didn't, I just was worried sick after it was there once. I figured, it's going to come back and get it.
Okay, now the other two, were they similar to the one by the barn?
See, they just had lights.
I see.
They looked like two small ones.
Okay, what color were the lights on those?
They were they're a neon light.
Same.
Only they didn't have anything under them. I couldn't see. They looked like smaller ones.
I see. Okay.
But they went away fast.
Uh-huh.
But they don't make no noise. I can't see why a machine that big can't at least make something.
Now, this was handled by the Colusa Police Department?
I called the Sheriff's Department because I couldn't stand it any longer. I had to know somebody else seen it.
Uh-huh.
And they said they had one other call or a couple, I don't remember. But the police department came here, and I told them what I saw. And they're the ones that called you.
This is the police or the sheriff?
This is the police here in town.
Okay, fine.
I called the Sheriff's Department, I guess they sent you guys. Oh, they dispatched out to the police here.
Okay.
Not a fib, sir.
Well,
I really believe it now. I used to think a little bit, they had me wondered. That's all it ever went to. But I believe it.
Okay, other than this tingling sensation now, did you have any other physical or strange mental feelings while all this was going on?
Well, I don't really know. I couldn't get in the house. I was all frustrated. I hit the walls going down because we had no lights in there. I couldn't, and I've always walked through that hall before without running into everything. But I guess I was scared too.
Okay.
It's like electricity. I mean, it's like your hairs, and you take some kind of a dicon or coats, you wear, and you get this static electricity when you pull it off.
Right.
That's the way your hair stands up.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Static to it or something.
Could I talk to the officer again, please?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I sure appreciate this call.
Okay, we'll have a report in our file.
Okay.
Do you need our address or anything?
We have it, yeah. Now, this Elaine McGowan, does she work in night shift or off?
Well, she's a technician for the ambulance service, so we can call her out any time of the night.
Uh-huh.
It'd be best to get a hold of her in the daytime.
Okay. Then she's right there at the main office?
Well, no, but they can get a hold of her.
Oh, okay.
And that would be at the sheriff's office.
Right.
And the police department took the report.
Right.
The sheriff's department dispatches for us at night because we don't have a dispatcher on.
Oh, I see. Very good. And we thank you again very much for this. And if we get any more information on it, well, I will get back to you people and let you know.
Okay, and also the power was out for 3 or 4 surrounding counties, too, that we monitor on the radio at the same time.
Okay, how long was that out, you know?
I was out at my house for about 5 minutes, went out 5 to 1, and came on about 2 minutes after because I was just getting ready to go to work. I was out for about 7 minutes at my house.
Okay, now, I forgot to ask this gentleman what time he first saw this object.
Bill, what time did you first see this? As soon as the power went off, it'd be right around 1. 5 minutes to 1 by my watch.
Okay.
Okay, hold on a second. Oh, yeah, always done. 3 lights? Yeah, it's a reduced search. Okay, if you need anything else, you can get hold of us, I guess.
Yes, sir, will do.
Okay.
And we thank you again.
Okay.
Right. Elaine McGowan?
Yes.
I'm calling for the UFO Reporting Center in Washington.
Yes, sir.
And we understand that you saw something in the sky last night.
Yes, sir.
I wonder if we could get a description of that.
There was no shape to it that we could see. It happened about, I guess maybe 25 minutes to 1. All the lights had gone out in town, the street lights as well as house lights, and we walked out to the street to look up the street to see if we could see any lights further down.
Uh-huh.
And there was one big bright light. It looked like a street light was mounted up in the sky. We watched it for approximately 10 to 15 minutes. It was southwest of Colusa. It was stationary for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then went in a northwesterly direction, for maybe a minute, and then switched directions and went southeast towards Sacramento. The lights at that time came back on. They were on for maybe a minute and a half, and the object just disappeared.
Uh-huh. It just snapped off like turning off the light?
And there was a very, very high-powered motor would run, a very fine precision motor that would just have a hum to it.
Yes.
You can hear this very, very distinctly.
Okay, now, do you have any idea of how close that object got to you?
Oh, it was quite a ways away from us. with the lights out and stuff, it's hard to tell distance.
Right.
It was south of town, I would say maybe a half a mile away from us would be at the closest point. And it was still a very bright, kind of a orangish shade of light.
Uh-huh.
We could detect no shape except this, one circle of bright light.
Yes. Now you say this was definitely circular then?
The light that we saw.
Yes.
It was just like somebody it would be like an airplane landing in your yard, the headlight of an airplane.
I see.
Brilliant,
okay.
But there was no rays coming off of it.
I see. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, really it does. How about altitude?
When we first saw it, it seemed to be, maybe 200 feet in the air.
Okay.
When we first see it. Then, as it was going in the northwest pattern, it went up. As it was, in other words, it didn't go straight across the horizon. It went up on an angle.
Yes.
And then when it finally shot the closest to us, it was a lot higher. Maybe close to a half a mile up from us, straight up in the sky. And then it was going at a very rapid rate of speed.
Okay, now could you hear this humming sound at all times while you had it in sight?
When we first spied it, no. But when it started in motion and started from the northeast and went to the from the northwest to the southeast, then it was very, very pronounced.
Okay.
We could hear it over the motor of a pickup truck that had just driven by us.
Did this seem to fluctuate in any way with regards to the object's speed or starting or stopping?
Well, it did not stop after we heard the noise. Once we heard the noise, it was a steady, it was like almost like an airplane motor going, but at a much higher rate of speed even than what a jet would sound like.
Okay, now what about size? Can you compare that with anything?
All right, standing on the ground and looking at it at a distance, it looked like maybe 5 street lights flopped together, only in one.
Those amber lights?
It wasn't amber. It was kind of it was a white, but it had like a pinkish, orangish cast to it.
Oh, yes. Okay. Did this cast seem to surround the white part of the object?
No, not that I can remember.
Okay.
I'm on the Sheriff's Department reserves, and I sat there and looked at it. If I tell them, they'll think I'm an idiot. Because I have 5 sons that are always reading about them,
Uh-huh.
And they've been telling me, I saw this light and I saw that light. Well, the one where we're standing out there, and yesterday was his 17th birthday, and he was out of his mind. Look what I seen on my 17th birthday, So as far as it seemed to I can't say that the light got any brighter or any dimmer. It just kind of stayed at one intensity.
Okay, now in your opinion, was this thing under intelligent control?
Definitely.
Okay. And your son also saw this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that was the extent of the witnesses?
In our area.
Right.
We sat there and watched it. We didn't, there was no one else around that time of the morning. One pickup went by. And then we were told today, one of the police officers stopped by and visited with us, and he said that there was 4 separate sightings or 4 other individuals had reported it.
Uh-huh.
Which made me feel better.
Right. Okay. And that's all you saw, was just light, nothing else?
Just light. It was just a round light. I couldn't give it a shape, to say that it was long or any particular type of a shape. It was just a bright light.
Okay. Well, we sure appreciate your time. And if we need additional information, could we get back to you?
You certainly can anytime.
Thank you very much.
Thank you kindly for calling.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Arizona?
Yes, sir.
Were you aware of was there any information over the television or the news media, the papers or anything of this thing they sighted up here?
Taylor, Arizona?
Well, it's up on the rim, what they call the rim country, which is Hebrew. I'll give it to you in quote. I thought you should know about it.
Fine.
Now, there were 7 men up there about 3 days ago. They were all coming back just after dark. They were cutting wood and they were coming in. They saw this bright light, this object that looked to all 7 of them, at the time there were 7, like a saucer or some unidentified object. Well,
Ralph Anderson's a very good friend of mine, and his brother Travis is a young man about 22. And he's always made the statement around the country to everyone that knows him that he'd like to have some way of making communication with them.
Yes.
And they were talking about this kind of a thing, ironically, at the time, and they saw this light about 20 foot hovering from the ground, and before they actually stopped their truck, Travis jumped out of the car and ran up underneath of this thing, if you can imagine. How many yards away, I don't know. That quote. But he ran up underneath of it with his hands in the air as a helpless or friendly gesture. At the time he done this, the other 6 men, and these are pretty good local boys. They're not just, they were sober too.
Yes.
And they all witnessed a blue or a bluish light that projected from the bottom of this craft, whatever it was. And at that time it hit him, and of course he crumpled and fell. Now, the rest of them were just, like anyone else would be. I guess they were terrified, and so they started their vehicle up and drove the other way on that rim road for several miles until they regained their wits. They came back a few minutes later, and there was no sign of anything except as they were departing, as they were entering the area where this happened, they did see this thing, this object, moving across the sky. Now, this has been publicized through the KPHO media over television, and I suppose the radio, and all the other channels have got this. Sheriff Gillespie and Holbrook and many other search deputies, and the man is gone. They've checked it out. There's radiation there in this spot. They don't know. Ralph told me that it varied. There was some fairly heavy, and then it was light also. Yes. But what would it mean?
Well, that's hard to say.
But this is really true. Now, I can, like I said, if you wanted to confirm this, you could call, what is it, Marvin Gillespie? Call Ralph Anderson. This is the man's brother who vanished. Ralph Anderson's a good friend of mine, and I suggest that they do this today. But he said that they had some men in the Tucson, Flagstaff and Tucson area that were coming out. But I read this article in your book here, and I felt that it probably is by the far most experienced relating to this type of research on this thing. Ralph called me back about 2:30 today. He was going out there. They are going out again here in search, air and ground search. They're going to make a last-ditch effort attempt on it for 48 continual hours. Ralph said at the time he called he was shortly planning on leaving and would not be back until whatever time this 48 hours could develop in.
Uh-huh.
But my wife's highly concerned. She said, is there a possibility that thing could have took that man or disintegrated him? And who knows?
Now, what was that man's name again who's missing?
The man's name missing is Travis Walton, W-A-L-T-O-N. This has been well publicized throughout the entire state of Arizona. It's been on every channel. We catch it on the 6 o'clock news. It's been on the 10 o'clock news, and it happened Thursday night.
Has this been published in any of the papers you know of?
I don't know about the papers, my friend, but it's certainly been in the... I think my wife just said has been in the paper.
Okay.
In fact, it's been a headliner. The first day it happened, that night when the boys came back without Travis Walton, Ralph called me about 3 o'clock in the morning and told me what had happened, and he was leaving upon that. After the phone call to me then, they were going out there. The next day they had a search party of 55 men. They turned up nothing except radiol, and they did find radiation in that area, at that spot, in fact.
Yes.
If you want to call him or call me, I'll give you my name and number, but I don't think it'd be important for my name, but I'm just concerned about the thing, and if you're a sharpshooter on a thing, I'd like to see somebody do something about it.
Okay.
It happened about, 35 miles? Oh, it's about 35 miles from right here at our home where I'm calling you from.
Okay. And what was the date of this incident again?
Pardon?
What was the date of the incident?
Well, it was Thursday.
Thursday, okay.
Thursday night, I'd say shortly after dark. That's when the 7 men at that time were leaving in their truck, and they spotted this spacecraft or unidentified object hovering just some 20 foot or so off the ground, And at that time, Travis had been talking about this, and the whole country knows this. He's always wanted to communicate with these people, believe this or not. And before they ever got the truck stopped, he ran out there underneath that thing with his hands stretched up in the air as a gesture of friendliness or helpness or something. And then this bluish-like ray of light projected from the bottom of that craft and silhouetted him completely, and then he just crumpled, and that's when the other 6 boys just panicked, and they left for a few minutes. They said they didn't know exactly how long. They came back, and there was no sign of anything other than the fact of the visual sighting. Again, they saw this leaving.
We sure appreciate your calling.
I would mention one thing. All of these other men, included that were at this sighting witnessing this, have all agreed to, at the first of the week, they're all going to take a lie detector test. Probably in Holbrook and Mullen Gillespie's at the courthouse there to verify and substantiate this.
And that would be verified by Ralph Anderson?
Well, Ralph Anderson is Travis's brother, and Ralph would be the best man to call I know about this.
The UFOs have removed them. And they gave me several descriptions, and so I thought I'd give you a call.
Okay, where do they live? And that's in Seattle?
No, this is in Idaho Falls.
Oh, I see. Okay. Now, did they give you a full description of what they saw?
Yes.
Okay, would you like to pass that on to us?
All right. They said it was oval shaped, round, and it had one light in the very center of it with a dome, and that there's kind of a door on one edge of it.
Uh-huh.
And they said it didn't have wings.
Pardon?
They said it didn't have wings. Okay, and she said it spun around in circles.
It spun, you mean the whole object just circled, or it was rotating?
The whole thing just circled or was rotating? She said the whole thing's rotating.
The whole object itself, okay. About how low was it, did they say?
How high was it? Say, 2 telephone pole lengths up in the air, or what? She said it was about 4 telephone pole lengths up in the air.
I see. How old was she? Or is she?
She's 10. She's in the 5th grade.
I see. Oh, could she talk to us on the phone?
Would you like to talk to me here?
Hello?
Hi. What was your name?
Robin.
Robin?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, would you like to describe just exactly what happened there and what you saw?
Now, we were going down to my girlfriend, Jackie's house, and I said, look, and then in the sky, there was a round object, and it had a dome on the top, and then it had a side door in the middle. It had a light, and it had 2 sort of like windows on each side of the light. And then it went around in circles.
You mean that it moved in circles overhead, or what? Or was it just rotating?
It was moving in circles.
Okay. Well, and was this overhead, directly over you, or to off to another direction?
Directly over me.
Directly overhead. And you figure it was about how high off the ground?
4 telephone poles high.
Could you hear any sound?
It was going like this. Beep, beep, beep. Really, I couldn't barely hear it, though.
I see. And did you see lights on the object?
Mm-hmm.
What color were those lights?
And the light was red, and it went on and on.
Okay. Do you have any idea of how big that object was?
It was about the size of our living room. And our living room... Just a second. 12 by 15.
Okay. And about what time does this happen?
Just about 10 minutes ago. 20.
About 3, well, that would be about 4:30 your time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And there was a girl with you?
Yeah, Jennifer.
I see.
9 years old.
9, okay. And we're curious to know where you got our telephone number.
My brother has it, yes, but not me.
Oh, where did he get it?
Second one. From the police station.
Okay. Well, could I talk to your brother again?
Yes, sir.
Sure.
Yes.
Hi, could we get your full name?
My name's David.
Okay. Now, how old are you, David?
I'm 16.
Okay. Did these girls seem pretty excited when they came in the house?
More like scared.
Just plain scared, huh?
Yeah.
And they've never seen anything strange in the sky before?
No, they're just sitting here shaking.
I see. Is your parents home?
No, they're working.
I see. Well, sir, we sure appreciate your calling, and we're going to start an investigation on this, and if we get any further information, we'll get back to you and let you know.
Okay.
And thank you very much for calling.
Okay.
Okay. Bye. The 7th. I wonder if you could give us a complete description again and tell us just exactly how you happened to see this object and then everything that took place after that.
Okay. Me and my friend Jefferson were walking down the street, and we saw this thing up in the air, and it was rotating, sort of like, going around in a circle, and it had a dome on top. It didn't have no wings, clear round, and it had a light in the middle, red sort of light, and it was going on and off, and 2 little sort of windows on the sides and a little door.
And just about how high in the air did you figure that object was?
About 12 high.
I see. Okay. Now, what attracted you to this? Was there any noise or anything that made you look up into the sky?
Yeah, there was sort of like a beep.
Beeping on and off? Was that fairly loud?
I couldn't hardly hear it, though.
I see. Okay. Now, what, other than this red light, was there any other color? What color was the object itself?
Gray.
Gray. Okay. Now, did you say there was a dome on top?
Yeah.
Was that a transparent? Could you see through that?
I couldn't.
Was there any light coming from that?
A little.
A little bit. What color was that?
Sort of yellowish.
I see. Now, that red light that you saw, where was it located on the object?
Right in the middle.
Underneath?
Yeah.
On the bottom. Okay. And you say that you could see openings like windows?
Mm-hmm.
Was there any light coming from those?
No, there wasn't.
Okay. Now, about how long would you say that you watched this object?
It was 2 weeks ago, and it was about 5 minutes.
For about 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, did you see anything else in the sky at the time while you were watching this?
No, I didn't.
How was the weather there at the time?
It was fine. It was sunny outside, yeah.
That was still in the afternoon, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Was it a clear sky?
Yeah, it was a clear sky.
Okay. Do you have any idea, now was this directly overhead when you first saw it?
Yeah, it was overhead.
And then what did it do as you were watching it? Did it just move away, or did you run in the house?
It had the sound of beat, and then it was just light, and then it was just circling, going around in circles while it was moving.
It was moving in circles overhead?
Uh-huh.
And then did it move away from you, out of sight?
Mm-hmm.
Was it still circling when as it moved away from you?
Yeah, it was.
Okay. Was there anyone else out in the street at the time?
No, there wasn't. Just me and my friend.
And you haven't talked to anyone else who saw it?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Now, if we send you a special form, would you draw us a picture of what you saw?
Yeah.
Okay. Did this frighten you quite a bit?
Yes, it did.
Have you told your friends about it?
No, I haven't.
You haven't, okay. And the object, when it was moving overhead, you were standing there watching it, did the altitude seem to decrease or increase? In other words, did the object come down any lower or go up any higher while it was right there in that area?
It was going up a little bit higher.
I see. And then did you see this object as it faded away, as it went away?
Yeah.
Which direction did it move? Do you remember?
It went to the direction of right.
To the right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, is your older brother there now, the one that was home when you came in and told him about it?
No, he isn't.
Okay.
My friend's here, so I'll speak to her.
Is Jennifer there?
Yeah.
Okay, could I talk to her for a minute? Hi, Jennifer. My name is Bob.
What?
My name is Bob. What did you think of the object that you saw the other night, or the afternoon? Pardon? Okay, could I talk to Robin's mother again?
Yes.
Yes, Mrs.
Yes.
I'm still trying to get Jennifer's address. I didn't make it out. Do you know it?
Yes.
What did you think of your daughter's experience?
It about scared me to death. You know, because my husband and I work at a jewelry store, and immediately after, I guess they had notified the authorities of what they had seen. Why they called me at the store, and I was a little bit concerned.
Yes.
And of course, she never came in and never said anything like that before. So I knew darn well, that she couldn't have been storying to me, or that that she'd seen it. And then my boy, of course, he questioned her when she came in, and then he finally decided, well, maybe he'd better call somebody.
The after effects like any dreams?
No.
I see.
Not that I know of. She slept quite well since then.
And that the story that she described here this afternoon, does it pretty well match what she told you?
Right. Yes. Now, she repeated it to her father and I when we got home that evening. And the same story as she told us, that it just, the light was beeping, and it kind of, frightened me a little bit. But my son had mentioned something that someone else had seen this also.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, he said someone else had called in.
I see.
And I just wondered if this was, if this was so, or if he was just telling us to make an impression. That he said someone else had called in about it also. But I was just wondering, had there been any other report of it?
We hadn't received any additional reports.
Nothing.
No.
Well, that is such an odd thing to happen.
Well, this is quite usual in this type of case because we feel that if there were 100 people that actually saw the object, maybe only one or two would probably report it anyway.
Well, yeah, this is true, too. But, of course, when you see something like that, and you know darn good well you're seeing it, you haven't been drinking,
right.
The first thing you would think of would be to notify. I mean, I would.
Right.
If I saw something like that. But I was really amazed because my son said as soon as he got outside, he said he couldn't see it.
Right.
And he said little kids were both just white as a sheet. He said they really did see something, and I, of course, I was quite alarmed about it, and I thought, my land, what's happening?
Right.
And when they called me from work, why, we soon closed the store and we were home.
But she's pretty well settled down now?
Yeah, she seems to be.
Okay, fine.
She hasn't talked about it at all until you called us last time. We just kind of dropped it, and hadn't discussed it.
Yes.
Because we knew, that she was afraid, and I didn't want to, cause any undue fear to her, so we just kind of, mum's the word with her.
Right.
But, of course, you never know in a situation like this, you've heard of things like this happening, and that these children and even adults do see these things.
Very much, yes. Well, the only suggestion I could make would be to just sort of let the thing go on its own and don't talk about it unless she wants to talk about it.
Right. Okay, well, this is fine. I just hope that maybe we can find out what in the world it was. Do many people call in about these things? I mean...
Oh, yes. We get hundreds of calls.
Oh, good man. Oh, that's really something.
It's something, you know, you would never think of. Now, who do people call when they see these things?
Well, this is called the UFO Reporting Center in Seattle, Washington. And Robin is 10.
Yes.
And how old is Jennifer?
9.
9, okay. And we're going to send Robin a letter, and she said she would make a drawing of the object.
Oh, okay, fine. She drew one for us, too.
Great.
So I'll just kind of keep it back, and then I'll compare and see if it's the same one she drew us.
Thank you very much.
Okay, then we'll mail this back to you, right?
Right.
Okay, then, fine, and thank you for calling.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Air Force Base in Arizona. I'm in the command center here. I just received a call from a gentleman at Kingman, Arizona that I think may be interesting enough for you to want to look into.
Okay, do you have his name, sir?
I do. His name is... He claims to have seen a couple of lights off the road between Bullhead City on the Colorado River and Kingman, and stopped to investigate, and to have seen two very small individuals dressed in white suits that were reflective and had some type of communication with them, and that they then retreated from him, and that the lights went straight up. He sounded rational and sober, and the nature of his conversation over the phone, at least, made it sound like he wasn't pulling a practical joke. So I think maybe at least it would be worth some type of check.
All right, sir. Could I get your name again?
Yes, this is Major Jensen, J-N-S-O-N. By the way, he stated he's going to be at his house this evening, but he won't be available tomorrow due to some traveling. And he mentioned he did have an appointment with a doctor in the morning to check some type of burns that he has on his body that he thinks came from this encounter.
Okay, we'll get back to him right away.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
This is I live in Kingman, Arizona.
Yes, sir.
I called Luke Air Force Base about what I'd seen.
Yes, sir. We've been trying to get a hold of you. I wonder if we get a description of what you saw, what happened.
Well, it's kind of real what I've seen, what happened. It happened.
Starting right from the beginning, would you tell us what happened, what you saw?
Well, sir, I'll tell you what. I'm raising 2 teenage kids. I'm unemployed. Is there any way I can hang up and you call me?
Sure.
I can't really afford the phone bill.
Yes, I can call back. Yes, sir. This is the reporting center.
What I seen was really... It was really there. You know, I was coming back from a basketball game down in Bullhead City, and I went past this old gold mining camp there. And I've seen these 2 bright lights on the right-hand side, you know. And I thought, you know, looked like a car with a bright light.
Yes.
I was thinking, you know, I'd go down there once in a while, you know, go fishing. I'm thinking, there's no road over there. So I pulled off the side of the road, got out of my car, I got a 56 hit. These lights, they stopped.
Sir, I think we got kind of a bad connection here. Could you speak a little louder, please?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, anyhow, I walked over to where these lights were. They weren't car lights. They were just, I don't know, 10 feet diameter. I couldn't see anything between them.
Okay, each light was about 10 feet in diameter?
Right. And,
okay.
All of a sudden, I seen these 2 guys. I guess they were guys, I don't know. They had on metallic suits with a metallic face shield. And they told me, don't be afraid. We are just here to explore. I couldn't see their face. I didn't say nothing, but it came through my head, you know. So I started to back off. And I just kept backing up. And I took off running from my car. And when I turned around and looked, when I got to my car, these 2, whatever they were, disappeared in the light
then it just shot upward. Then when I got home, and I kept feeling something burning on my stomach, I went in the bathroom and I lifted my shirt up, and I got these funny looking burn marks. They're shaped like the Big Dipper. There's no burn marks on my shirt, my t-shirt or my other shirt, or my jacket. And now my dog, he won't even get near me. I don't know why. He lays on the other side of the room. Every time I try to get near him, he takes off running. He's never done that before. I called my doctor, and he wants me to come out there at the hospital tomorrow and look at these burns.
Did this occur tonight?
Yep.
Approximately what time?
About 9 o'clock.
Can you account for all of your time during that experience?
Yeah, I went to the basketball game down Bullhead City.
Right, but I mean, after you saw the lights and you went to look to see what they were, and by the time you got back to the car, can you account for all of your time during that period?
Yeah, I came straight home. I figured about, I don't know, 25, 30 minutes to get back to Kingston.
When these objects took off, did they make any noise?
None that I heard.
Did you get any estimate of how tall those the two beings were?
Well, I'd say between 5'4", 5'6".
And how were they dressed?
They had on metallic, silver looking suits. They had a definite, I don't know, looked like chrome faceplate. They had helmets on.
How close did you get to them?
About 40 feet.
Okay, then you could make them out pretty well then.
Yeah.
Were they the humanoid type, 2 arms, 2 legs?
Oh, yeah.
And they appeared to be talking with you kind of like through telepathy rather than sound?
I couldn't see their face. All I heard was, do not be afraid, we're just here to explore, and that's when I started backing off. They carried no type of weapons. They had a black belt around their waist, but there was no weapons of any type.
When you started to back off, did they approach you at any time?
No, they just stood there. I don't know what they were doing.
Okay.
But I didn't bother. Once I started backing off, I didn't really care what they were telling you. I was never getting out of there.
When you went to leave, did you have any problems with your car?
No, it's generator lights. The alternate, I got one of the 8 lights for it. Well, the generator lights came on about 2 miles, and all of a sudden it went out again.
When these things took off, did they leave at a high rate of speed?
Oh, yeah, they were flying. I had seen them about 4 seconds, and they just disappeared. Like a little star in the sky.
Has anything else strange happened to you tonight, other than that?
I don't know, what are you talking about strange?
I mean, since you got back home. Does anything unusual happen?
Yeah, I'm sick to my stomach. I'm cold, but the heater's on.
You can't get warmed up?
No. I'm sitting in front of the heater right now. My thermostat is 75 degrees. I don't know, I'm shaking all over. I don't know. I guess I'm cold. I don't know. I feel sick to my stomach, and every time I'm doing these dumb marks on my body.
Are these in the form of just spots?
No, they're burns.
Burns in the shape of the Big Dipper?
Yeah.
Would you talk to another party in your local area if I contacted them?
When tonight?
Another scientific agency, yes, if they called you right away?
You have to call me right away because, you know, like I'm telling you, I'm raising 2 teenage kids, and I want to find out what I've seen because I don't want nobody in this town to call me a nut.
Now, do you want your name held strictly confidential on this?
No way. I'm not afraid in that way. I know what I've seen, but, well, you know how kids are in this town, you know. I
right.
can back up what I've seen. But what I've seen mean, I don't know. I don't understand the dog. He come up and sniffed my belly, and he took off.
And he keeps away from you?
Yeah, I got an old turkey over there. I can't even feed him any turkey, and he loves turkey. He's laying clear out there on the other side of the kitchen right now. I can't call him. He won't come to me. He come up and when I got home, he bounced up and he smelt my belly and he took off. But you think this can't be for real, is it? I mean, I've called my preacher. I've called Luke Airport today. I'm talking to you. But something happened, so I think, I swear to God it did. It had to happen. I got the burn marks on my body to prove it, and I know what I've seen.
I want you to hang by the phone for a couple minutes. I'm going to have another party call you, okay?
Yeah, I'll be glad to talk.
Okay, sir, and I really appreciate the information and time that you've given us.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right,
bye.
Hello? This is again?
Yes, sir.
I don't know, says that people are supposed to call me?
Yes, sir. They've been notified, and they said they'd get back to you tonight.
Okay, I just wondering.
Yeah, they definitely said they're going to get back to you. They're located in Tucson.
I probably had to let my dog out of the house. I went in the bathroom, put some salve, Vicks ventilator, burns I got.
Uh-huh.
Put a lot back.
Okay.
Can you ask me one? I want to ask you for one, that God's answer.
Yes.
Did this actually happen?
Well, I'm sure it did. Similar incidents have happened around the world many times in the past years.
Well, who done it?
Well, I can't say exactly where they're coming from, but obviously they're not from this planet.
No, they're not of this earth. I know that. But, you know, a lot of people see a lot of things, you know, they can't understand. You know, a lot of people think meteorites fall into the air. They think they see flying saucers and they see Venus and all this crap. But this thing here, I think, well, I call them humanoids. Then, you know, I don't understand it. They were there. They were talking. But I felt it through my head that they were not here to destroy nobody or whatever, you know. And there were little black belts around the waist. They were about 5'4", 5'6". I was backing off. But these strange burn marks on my body, I don't understand it. I don't know if they marked me for some reason or what the deal was. But I sure got them burn marks on my body. They're not burn marks like you get from anything I've ever seen. I've got burn, you know, welding,
right,
like that. These marks are funny. They're all, I don't know, they're sort of like a upside decimal point. Never seen like it. Sat in the bathroom looking at it. Never seen like that. It looks like an upside decimal point. But they're in a pattern like a big difference. Except there's one way down on the other side of my navel. That makes the 8th one.
There are 8 of those then.
Yeah, there's 7 points, and on this thing here, it looks like a big difference. There's one about 6 inches below that. I don't know what that's supposed to be. My kids aren't coming home tonight. I told them, tell your mom, I got a lot of problems right now.
Do you want the number that the other party that I called?
No, if they're not interested in calling.
Yeah, and they'll get back to you. They said they'd definitely get back to you.
When, tonight?
Well, they were going to try to get back to you tonight. They're trying to locate one of their representatives nearby. But stick with it. They'll get back to you anyway.
Well, not really important.
Uh-huh.
Just something I've seen. Well, yeah, I guess it is important. I'm about a nervous wreck trying to figure out what happened, what I've seen. all I did was go to a basketball game. All of a sudden, the whole last pouring up bag. People that I don't really believe are here. These funny marks on my body. My dog won't talk. Yeah, I'm really interested. I would just like to find out why.
Somebody will get in there that can really talk to you personally and put some light on this whole thing.
Will you tell them to call at night so I can go to sleep? Give me some assurance that everything will be all right.
Okay, I'll do that.
That's all I want to get. You know, I'd like to go to sleep and get up in the morning and just think maybe I've seen something. But the way it is now, I don't know. You know, I'm sitting here, I'm drinking coffee after coffee. You know, I don't know if some idiot comes through the door. Well, actually, to tell you the truth, I'm scared shitless, you know.
Okay, I'll get back to them right away.
All right, I sure appreciate it. Give me a little peace of mind to see it. If I did see, well, I know I've seen what I've seen. You ever see anything like this?
No, I never have. I've talked to a lot of people who have.
It's really weird. I've seen people that aren't people. I don't know. I call them humanoids. They're not from this place, that's for sure. They're not Russians, they're not Chinese, they're not nothing. They're humanoids. And I've seen them. I talked to them. Well, I didn't really talk to them. They talked to me through, I don't know, I didn't see their mouth. I couldn't even see their face. They just came through in my mind. You know, that bothers me. They might be nice people, I don't know. But the burn mark, I don't know why. If I was marked, I'm sure they didn't do it to harm me or nothing. But I just wonder if they've done that to mark me when they come back or something, if they do come back. That's what bothers me. I don't like to be like a marked man, but these stupid things in my body, they are real. They're implanted on my body. I mean, you can call a cop if you want to. We're going to go look at these things.
Okay, you stand by the phone. I'll get back to those people again.
Okay, I sure appreciate it, man.
Okay.
Right,
talk to you later. Bye.
Reporting center?
Yeah, I'd like to report a possible UFO.
Okay, like to hear about it.
I know that you get a lot of these calls, but it's not a prank. It scared the hell out of me. I don't mind telling you.
Okay.
We're out here in Texas, and we're out in the country, and we're sitting down in a little small range of mountains. And up above one of these mountains, it was too high for a hunter's light or anything like this. It was way too low for any kind of aircraft. It was not moving. It was standing still. And it was like it was pulsating, more or less. It'd get large and small, large and small.
Yes.
It lasted about 5 minutes, and I don't know where it went, whether it went up or down or what. And there was the damnedest racket I have ever heard. And when I describe it, don't laugh. But you know how the TV series, they sound like how the sound is with these flying saucer space bits?
Yes.
That's just exactly the way it sounded. It lasted about 5, 6, 7 minutes. I wasn't the only one that saw it or the only one that heard it. And it really scared us, and I've called everybody that I could call pertinent to this, and Houston gave me your number.
Okay.
I don't know what y'all do in a case like this or how you handle it, but like I said, it scared the heck out of us.
Okay, what time did that happen?
About, how long ago was that, Merle? No, from when now to then, about 20 minutes ago? It's about, okay, about 20, I'll say 20 minutes ago.
Okay. Now, getting back to this light, did that have any definite shape to it?
There was nothing but a light, is all I saw.
Just a round light.
Well, it wasn't even a round light. It was...
very diffused.
Like a... Well, it would be shaped more like it would be on fire, but it wasn't fire, you understand?
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't orange or anything.
Right.
It was just a light, but
okay.
It had no shape. But it was light enough that I could see the top ridge of this mountain about, you know... it kind of outlined the top edge of the mountain that it was over.
It was, in other words, it was reflecting the light from this thing.
Yeah, and I walked from my house trailer, my brother's house trailer to mine to get my husband's binoculars.
Yes.
And by the time I got back, the light was gone, and the racket, it was so weird, it scared me. I sat down and shook for 10 minutes. It was the weirdest sound I have ever heard in my life, and I'm 42 years old, and I've never reported a UFO. I've never seen one. I don't know what this was. I don't know what it was.
Uh-huh. Now, this sound didn't go on after the object was gone, did it?
Yes, that's when I heard it was after the light was gone.
I see. Well, okay, now how long did that sound continue after you watched the light?
Oh, Lord, about 10 minutes.
I see. Okay. Did it seem to be coming from the same direction?
No, it was kind of an all-around sound. It was like you couldn't pinpoint where the sound was coming from.
Feel like it was coming from everywhere?
Yeah, just kind of like all around you.
Okay. About how far away was that mountain? Do you have any idea?
About how far is that mountain from us? Not very far. Is it 5 miles? He said it's about 5 miles.
Okay, now which direction are you looking when you're looking at that mountain?
Okay, I'd be looking southwest and more to the west.
Okay.
About southwest, more to the west.
Do you have any estimate as to how high above the ridge the light was?
Okay, just standing like you're standing on the ground looking at something.
Right.
And say, can you picture it being 5 miles away?
Uh-huh.
It'd be about as high as two-story building.
Okay, fine.
Can I tell you anything?
No.
That's really the only way I can tell you.
Okay, now can you compare it with anything for size?
The size of the light?
Right.
Let me think a minute what would be in the air that I've ever seen. Okay, if you're standing in your own yard and looking at a guard light,
right,
it'd be like that, except this was a way off.
Okay.
So it would have to be much, much larger to appear that way to me.
Right, right.
I mean, I'm trying to tell you the only way I know how to describe it. And
I know, you're doing just fine.
It just really took me something serious, and I don't scare that easy.
Okay, now this sound, are there any pets around?
Oh, yeah, we have dogs.
Did that disturb the dogs at all?
Nothing barked.
Didn't bother them?
No, nothing.
Okay. And where did you get our number?
Through Goodfellow Houston gave me your number. Goodfellow Air Force Base I called because my husband is military, and that's the only people I knew to call.
Is this Houston Police?
No, San Angelo.
Okay.
And they gave me Houston's number, and Houston gave me your number.
Okay.
And like I said, it's not a prank. I'm not trying, it's serious. I don't know what it was, or I have no idea. But it's something that I don't know what it was, and that's what scares me.
Okay, we'll get on this right away, and if we come up with any answers, we'll get back to you and let you know.
Well, would you please?
Yes, ma'am.
Let us know, because like I said, we do live out here, and it really scared me. And I've not talked to any neighbors or asked them anything, because I just got right on the phone immediately to Goodfellow, and then immediately to y'all,
Right.
And if you do, I would really appreciate you letting me know.
We sure will.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. UFO Reporting Center?
Yes, sir. I'd like to report there's 4 people here, and we've all believed them to be UFOs. We're in Boulder City, Nevada.
Oh, okay, we'd like to hear about it.
Okay, I don't know how to explain it. There's 2, they are not airplanes. We know they're not airplanes. They are flying maybe side by side, but are they still there? They're going towards Searchlight. There's 2 of them.
Okay.
And there's one over Hoover Dam.
Stationary?
Is the one over Hoover Dam stationary, or was it going? It's stationary, yes.
Okay, what's the approximate altitude of the one over the dam?
What would you say for approximate altitude over the one over the dam? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's fly as high as an airplane.
Okay.
But the 2 that we saw first were flying, side by side. I thought they were 2 airplanes.
Yes.
But they're not. But they were 3, they had like 3 flashing lights.
What color were those lights?
But yes, there's 2 on the ends, and the middle light was flashing on off. What color? 2 red lights on the end. And the middle light is like a light white.
Okay, can you see any fuselage that these lights are attached to?
No. Yes, they stopped, like over the dam, and then they went. But the one is out of sight that was over Hoover Dam. It was hovering over Hoover Dam.
That's still there?
No, it's gone now.
Oh, it's gone now.
It stayed there while the other 2 were, moving.
Okay, now which direction did the 2 that disappeared move to?
What direction is that? What direction were them 2 going? West.
West. Okay. Now, did anyone see the one leave from the dam?
Did you see the one leave from the dam, or was she? Yeah. She watched it blink off and off until it was out of sight.
And did it move in the same direction?
Did it go in the same direction as those other two? No.
No. Okay, any estimate of size on these things? These groups of lights?
It went about an estimate of size. I think it was bigger than an airplane. They weren't as big as an airplane.
Okay.
Yeah, a small commercial aircraft.
Okay, fine. Did you hear any sound at all?
No. No, we were just sitting outside, and I just happened to look.
Did you actually watch these objects come into view?
Yes.
Were these objects traveling in a straight line at all times? Were there any motions or maneuvers involved?
No, they were just going in a straight line.
Okay.
And the two were even.
Any idea of altitude?
No, they were just about, as high as an airplane would fly. That's why I thought they were airplanes when I first seen them.
I see. Would you mean the small aircraft?
Uh-huh.
Right, okay. And how many witnesses do you have there?
4.
Okay. And no one heard any sound?
No, I didn't. Did you guys hear anything? No sound? Nope.
About what time did you spot those?
Well, it's 25 to 9. It must be 8:30.
8:30.
I know, but I have the call-free number to give them.
Okay, who did you get our number from?
I called 911 here, and it was a emergency police department number.
Is that the city or county?
Boulder City.
Okay.
Nevada.
Okay, well, we'll get on this, and if we come up with any ID on these things, we'll get back to you and let you know.
Yeah, I'd appreciate it. We know what airplanes look like,
Right.
And my sister that lives here in Boulder, she said that a couple times this last week there's been UFOs reported over the dam.
I see. Okay, now how's the weather down there, the sky conditions?
Oh, it's clear. It is clear, but when I saw these, when I first saw them, it looked like maybe they were in clouds, I just seen the lights barely blinking off and on, and they were flying side by side.
Uh-huh.
The two, and it was cloudy, and then, I don't know, because I came in the house to phone, I said, look at those things in the sky, and my sister said, those are the UFOs that's been reported over the dam, so I come in to call.
Now, did each one of these objects have these colored lights?
Yes.
And they were both identical, more or less?
Yes.
Okay. And they moved together at all times?
Yes.
Okay.
Just a minute. My husband just come in and said that an airplane, a jet plane just went over, and they were nothing like the plane looked.
Oh, fine. Okay, swell. Okay, well, we'll get on this, and if we get anything on it, we'll get back to you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I have gotten your number from the airport, and
Yes.
also the state police gave me the number. I'm located in Oakland.
Yes.
And there is, toward the south side, there is a strange object. And when the sun hits it, it goes up as far as above the cloud level. And it comes back down, hovers like over the trees, because I'm up stairs, and I can look over.
Yes.
And it's a silver looking, but it has white lights and blue lights.
And this is to the south?
To the south side, because I'm located here in Oakland.
Okay.
But this is straight over the south side. I can look over past the cathedral, and
right.
way back over the hillside. But it's a long object.
Okay, now, how are the sky conditions?
Huh?
How are the sky conditions?
The sky, it's clear.
It's clear. Okay, now, how many degrees above the horizon is this object?
Oh, let's see. It's right at the present time. It's hovering over trees.
Oh, that low.
That low,
Okay.
and then it go on up, and it comes back down. And these lights are still rotating on it.
Okay, now, what time did you see that?
I saw it about 20 minutes ago.
20 minutes ago, okay.
And I've been watching it ever since. And I've been sitting here at the window, and I called the state police. I called the airport, in which the airport gave me this number to call.
Okay, now,
during that 20 minutes, has it just maintained that up and down movement?
It was, no, for one while it was just level.
I see.
You know, it was just a level thing.
Okay.
And then it began this here up and down fluctuating.
Okay. Now, you say this is long?
It's a long object, and when it dips down, you can tell, you know, that it's long.
Okay.
It has white lights and blue lights.
Now, are those white and blue lights strung out on the horizontal, or are they just scattered out over the whole object?
The white lights are to one side, to the left.
Uh-huh.
The blue lights are to the right.
Okay. Now, does that object have a defined shape?
It's flat looking.
Flat. Okay. Kind of thin?
Yeah, right, and silver when the sun reflects on it.
Okay. Does it tilt at all?
Yes, it tilts when it comes down towards the, top of the trees. It tilts, and it looks long then.
Okay. Did you see any sun reflection off of it? As though it were the sunlight were striking metal?
Yeah, because that looks silver then.
Okay. Okay, fine.
I don't know. We've kind of lost it now, but it was above the tree level.
Uh-huh.
Look over there, Diane, between that tree. You see the light flashing here? But it's over towards south side.
Okay, and you got our number from the FAA tower?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Now, there were how many witnesses?
Me and my daughter.
Okay, and you both saw the same thing,
right? Right.
You agreed on what you were seeing?
Right.
Okay. Okay, Mrs. We appreciate this report, and we're going to check it out right away, and if we come up with any information on it, why, we'll get back to you and let you know.
All right, because right now it's, we've kind of lost it. It's been down toward the trees, you know, but it'll go back up. But I wish you would check into it.
Okay, we'll check it out.
All right, thank you kindly.
Thank you for the call.
Bye.
Get a description of just exactly what happened to you up in the mountains.
Yeah, you're just a research organization?
Right, this is a private research organization with a group of scientists and laymen studying the UFO mystery.
Okay, well, I just noticed when I was, I just wandered into this campsite, and in the evening, and I just kind of noticed some kind of log shelters. I mean, they weren't big log shelters. They were just about 2 or 3 logs laid on one another, and they were just kind of made like somebody was starting to build some sort of a cabin or something, but just got a few logs put on. There were just 2 of these structures. So what I did was I built myself a little bed in there, and was just settling down to sleep. And then I kind of, this full moon came up, and I noticed some clouds. I just woke up and was out, and there were people. I knew there were people looking for me that night, and were looking for me that day. And I saw these clouds going along the sky. They were pretty. They weren't too far above my head. I mean, they weren't too. I mean, they weren't too high in the sky. But I just kind of noticed kind of a strange cloud formation go by. There may have been 1 or 2 of them, and then I kind of yelled at them, for some reason.
Yes.
Then I noticed some further up in the sky, kind of like a star. I kind of saw these. They looked like a couple of maybe look a little bit bigger than stars, but they looked like they were just a couple of them just overhead there. And then I just didn't think any more about them. I was just standing there, and then I noticed kind of over to my right ways, there would just seem to be some sort of a strange light or something, maybe something landing over there. And then a little while, I just noticed these people kind of coming in, and they kind of look like gypsies or
Indians. I mean, they looked like sort of nomadic people, and they were of all ages.
Yes.
And they just kind of they didn't talk or anything. They just I mean they talked, but I didn't hear them. And then I just kind of was sitting there observing them, and they seemed to be making camp or something. They seemed to be putting some vehicles in these log cabin places, I mean log places, and they just seemed to come in like they'd been there before, and it's just they were just kind of taking over. So I just kind of watched them, and then I talked to them, tried to talk to them about getting me out of here. And this one fellow showed me he seemed to show me some kind of a vehicle or some strange thing that looked like, I don't know whether it would get me out of there or not, but I didn't know what to do, so I just went back to where I was standing, and then there seemed to be two helicopters looking for me. I thought that night they seemed to be going side by side and looking for me, and so I kind of stood. I had this flashlight, and I stood out in kind of the open. This is a little plateau here. There were trees, but there was some plateau, and they seemed to be looking for me, and these people they kind of drifted out to be around me. I mean, there seemed to be of all ages, and one of them was asleep, and they just seemed to be, some of them were sleeping around me or something. I mean, they just kind of followed me out there, and then but then, just as those helicopters were about to get to me, I thought, and see me, the full moon went down, and so they just kind of discontinued their search there because the full moon had gone down.
Yes.
And so then I was pretty discouraged, and I just went, and I went over by the stream, and they kind of came with me, and this older lady, she said I should sleep in these pine boughs, so I just went and slept on these, well, I don't know what they are, balsam boughs or whatever, and then I went to sleep, and then I woke up, and there was nobody there, except I saw some horses, and they went away. I mean, they galloped away, and then I went in that campsite, and there was just nobody there at all, and I just didn't check for prints or anything, and then I heard some dog barking, and but I just left there and went up the mountain and hoped I'd be seen that day.
Those vehicles that were they put into these log sections, what did they look like?
Oh, I'm not sure. I didn't really get a good look at them. They seem to be kind of like they seem to be rectangular in shape. Seemed like they could push them in kind of a log structure. Maybe they're, and I mean, they look kind of like, and they seem to be like, I mean, they weren't canoes, but they kind of seem to be pushing them in these log structures kind of like they would canoes or something like that. And they also seem to have some possible other vehicles around, but I just couldn't tell. I mean, it was kind of hazy at night, but these people, they just seem to look different, and they just they seem to. I mean, they just look like a kind of a tribe of people, and I was just I wasn't terrified of them because they look like people to me, and so I mean I don't really know what to think about it. I don't know whether it was something of an hallucination or whether it was actually true or not. But while I was experiencing it, I thought that what I was seeing was true. What was really there.
Right. Well, did those vehicles appear to be metallic?
I think so. I would say, if I had to guess, I would say they were.
Okay, now that light that you saw that came down out of the sky and landed, what did that look like?
Well, I didn't really... it was kind of a penetrate. It was, kind of a light. It was, I just don't remember that much about the light itself. It looked like a fairly strong light. It was a white light. And, I just didn't notice it coming down that much until it seemed to be kind of down, and I just wasn't looking that direction.
Yes. Did no verbal contact or communication?
Well, I was talking, but they and they seemed to understand what I was saying, or I thought they did, but they didn't. They seemed to talk to each other, but they didn't seem to. I didn't hear them. I didn't hear any sounds from them. They were just kind of moving around very silently.
Okay, now when they were moving about the area, could you hear them walking on the ground, snapping twigs and so forth?
Oh, not particularly, no. Just didn't have a feeling of it.
Okay. Have you had anything strange to happen since that experience?
No. I just, that was just the second night that I was lost, and then, see, that was Wednesday night, and then, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday I was also out, wasn't out at that particular location, but I was out there, and I didn't experience anything like that then, and, since then I haven't dreamed or dreamt or anything about it, so, nothing like that has happened since then.
I noticed by the story here that you did report it to the sheriff. Did you give him a complete rundown on that?
Oh, I thought I did.
Yeah.
But I don't know how. What the sheriff thought about it. I suppose he was a bit skeptical of it.
Oh, sure. I was just wondering if you thought to ask him if they'd had any UFO reports in the area at that time.
No, I didn't think to ask him. I also, it'd be interesting to know whether there were actually two helicopters looking for me at that time.
Yes.
Wednesday night, they were by the full moonlight, whether they were going side by side, and so at least it'd be interesting to know that.
UFO Reporting Center?
Yeah, I got your number from LA Center.
Yes, sir.
And they said you might be interested in something I saw.
You bet we would.
Okay, I have my own jet. I own a Lear 35.
Yes.
And, do you know where the thermal VOR is?
Yes.
Okay. We were just there about 2 hours ago, and at flight level 430. And this might sound nuts to you, but there was something, not very far away from us, for about 10 minutes. About double the size of the 747. It was round, cigar-shaped, no thrust, no wings, no cockpit. Had no trouble at all moving. And we saw it off in the distance. It's not a full moon tonight. We saw it off in the distance, and there was no lights on it. We weren't sure what it was. And as it got closer, we saw that it was, something.
Yes.
And he followed us along. He got close to us, and we asked the center what that target was. And they said, there's no target there. And we said, yes, there is a target. And they said, no, there's no target. So then we asked them to switch onto the primary radar, which could pick up targets without a transponder. And they did, and there's still no target. And so we didn't say anything else because we just got handed off to another section. And it was right next to us for about 10 or 15 minutes.
Okay, what was your altitude?
43,000.
Okay. And what was your destination?
San Francisco.
SF, okay.
We're from Panama to San Francisco.
Okay, now, were you looking at something that was lighted, or were you looking at a solid object surrounded by light?
No light. All we could see was a reflection off the moon.
Okay.
A dim outline, no lights.
Was there any question in your mind that this was metallic?
It wasn't metallic. Because on the wings, we have, on the wingtips of this airplane, we have ground clearance lights, which shine out and they shine up. And so when you're going and taxiing around an airport, you can see at the end of the wings. And we turned on those lights, and there was no reflection. It wasn't. We could see the skin for maybe about 30 seconds. We could see the skin. It wasn't metal. It was like foam rubber, something that was porous. But we only saw it for a second. It was a clear night, but the moon wasn't very full.
Okay.
And then as soon as he got within range, he was going parallel to us. He sort of got a little further away. He stayed about 50 feet from us. I'm serious, 50 feet.
Now, was this on your left side?
On the pilot side, yeah.
Pilot side,
my
right.
side.
Okay.
And, because I was a fighter pilot in Korea, and I know, distances.
Okay. Did you have any turbulence at all while that was around?
None.
How about interference with instruments or radio?
None.
Okay.
And we didn't really see him come up on us. We saw him in the distance for a little bit, but we weren't sure what it was. The only reason we even knew what it was because... Are you a pilot?
No, sir.
Okay, well, on the back of a jet or any jet aircraft, there's a red rotating beacon, which is required. And, out of the corner of your eye, you see it reflect off the wing every time it revolves. But it started to not reflect the way it had been. And the reason was because this thing had come, it was interfering with the light. And that's how we even noticed. We wouldn't have noticed it if it wasn't for it was different on the wing, the reflection off our beacon.
Right.
So, that's how we noticed it. And then we thought it was just darkness. We didn't really think it was a shape, and then they got closer, and it was a shape. And we were absolutely positive. Both my co-pilot, and myself saw it.
How long did it maintain that 50-foot distance from you?
Well, it was near there for about 15 minutes. It was only within 50 feet for about 10 minutes.
Okay. Did you actually see this object move away out of sight?
Yeah.
Okay. Which direction was it moving?
Ahead of us.
Directly ahead, okay.
At probably triple our speed. No acceleration problem, no build-up of speed. It just was at our airspeed to, almost...
Instantaneous?
Instantaneous, yeah.
Okay, what were you traveling at the time?
0.82.
Okay.
You know what that means?
0.82, that's
Mach, yeah.
Mach, right. Mm-hmm. Okay, could I get your approximate location again?
23 miles north of the thermal VOR.
Okay. Could I have your name, please? About what time did this occur?
2 hours ago.
2 hours. Okay, sir. If we need any additional information, can we feel free to communicate with you anytime?
It's a lot easier in writing. It's almost impossible to call me.
Okay. Well, we sure appreciate you reporting this. And if we come up with any additional information as to what you've seen, why, we'll communicate with you.
Yeah, what will you do with the information?
Well, okay, this goes into research. Now we'll gather all the data that we can on this particular report. Then it goes through a data reduction system. And that data goes into the data bank and it's used in our research program in relating to the field of ufology.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I can assure you this is not an airplane.
Uh-huh.
He's just too maneuverable and too fast for And also, they didn't see him on radar, which surprised me. We have also in-cockpit radar. We have weather radar, and we had it turned on. There was nothing there.
Still nothing there. Okay. Did this thing maintain its density during the entire sighting, or did it change its glow or brightness at all at any time?
No glow, no brightness, just reflection of the moon.
Didn't change at all?
No.
Okay.
I say the closest consistency would be like it looked like a brownie, sort of, you know? I couldn't see the color, but it looked like a porous, like styrofoam or something.
Yes.
It's brown. Well, I don't know if it's brown. I think it's brown or black in color. The color that both of us saw for the instant was sort of a grayish brown. But it wasn't metal.
Okay. How many years you been flying?
25, 23.
Long time.
And I own a company of my own, and we have 4 jets of our own. And I fly myself every day. I was a pilot in Korea and a pilot in Vietnam. And I worked for United as a co-pilot for a couple of years.
All right, sir. We sure appreciate you reporting this. And like I say, if we get any more on it, we'll let you know.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
And I'm in Boonville, Indiana.
Yes, ma'am.
And several friends of mine and I were talking on the CB radio on sideband, and we heard something very strange, and we were wondering if you could help us out with it. We heard transmissions by a lady talking, and she was talking from a mothership, and she was talking to Starships 1 through 6, and telling them of their estimated time of arrivals. And then she realized that the channel was being monitored by someone else and told them to go to the communications channel. Do you know of any activity in this area?
No, ma'am. What time did you pick that up?
1:15 through 2:10.
Okay. And that's all there was? Then they broke off and they didn't have any more?
Well, it was broken up. The conversations was broken up through this period of time.
Uh-huh.
And she was talking to Starship 1, and I couldn't hear the other side of the conversation. And she told them that their estimated time of arrival would be at 1:30. And then she spoke to Starship 5, and then Starship 6, and told them that their estimated time of arrival would be at 2:30.
Okay, which channel were you on at the time?
On the upper side of 16, on sideband.
Okay.
And another party that we were talking to had gone up on sideband on 22 and heard the conversation up there and told them, she said something about going down to another channel.
Okay. Did you hear of anyone else discussing this?
Anyone else on the radio talking?
Right. Who had picked it up?
Yeah, there's 5 or 6 of us that were talking to one another, and we heard this conversation in the background, and we all kind of stood by, and listened to it. And at one time, shortly after 2 o'clock, we heard someone saying something about their position was 3 miles above Evansville.
Now, have you talked on CB quite a bit?
Yes, we've been talking for over a year.
Okay, now, did that sound like it might be a CB transmission?
Yes, in a way it did, because she used AM lingo. She said 10-4, Starship 4. And that's the only time that I heard that particular lingo when she was talking.
Okay. Could you hear anyone answering her?
One time, Starship 4 returned the call, and it was a male voice. But I couldn't hear what he was saying. I could just tell it was a male voice.
Okay. Okay, where did you get her number?
I got it from the airport, the tower in Evansville.
Okay. Well, I tell you, if we get any other information on this, why, we'll get back to you and let you know.
Okay.
We'll check on some of the official agencies and see if they've picked up anything, and if we come up with anything, we'll get back to you.
Okay. Now, one of the positions of the fellows that were talking on the radio, one of their positions is in Kentucky, about 2 miles south of the Ohio River.
Uh-huh.
And one of the positions of another boy was in Tennyson, Indiana, which is about 16 miles northeast of where I am. And another one is kind of southwest from me, a few miles. And the fifth one was up on Folsomville Road, which is just north of Boonville. I'd say he was maybe 3 or 4 miles out of town. I'm not sure how far it is, but 2 of them have beams. Now, I have a ground plane on my radio, and I could hear the transmissions very clearly. I didn't pick up much. There wasn't too much, power.
Yes.
But the transmission was clear enough where I could understand it. Now, 2 of them have a set of beams, and one boy had his beams turned to the north, and he was north of where I am, and the other person is kind of southwest from me, and he had his beams turned another direction. And both of them could hear the transmissions clear also. And it's kind of unusual, if you have your beams turned 2 different directions, that you could pick up the same transmission.
Would this be an indication it could have been coming from the sky?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay, if we get any more on it, we'll get back to you and let you know.
Okay, so
Thank you again.
Well, I was wondering, has there been any report of a flying saucer last night around the college?
We had one report out of Colorado just a moment. Did you want the location of that?
Not Colorado. Caldwell.
Oh, Caldwell. Excuse me. No, ma'am, we didn't. Did you see something?
Well, my husband was coming home from work last night about 2:30.
Uh-huh.
And he's coming through the college, and the pickup lit up real bright, and he thought, well, God, I picked up a cop, I wonder what I'd done wrong.
Yes.
And so he stopped and got out to see what he'd done, And he said that it was this flying object above the pickup, and it just kind of let off a puff of black smoke and just flew off. And he came in the house scared to death. I was just wondering if anybody else had.
No, we haven't had any reports from there. Of course, that doesn't mean that someone else didn't see it. Do you have a description of the object?
Well, he said it wasn't round, it wasn't square. He said he didn't know how to describe it.
Uh-huh. Would it be possible to get back to him and get a description?
Well,
or does he want to talk to anyone about it?
He's working.
I see.
He'd like to talk to somebody about it, but he said, I didn't believe him. He said, if you don't believe me, nobody else will believe me,
Uh-huh.
And so I told him I didn't want to believe him, so just don't talk about it. And anyway, it scared my kids to death, so I'd just as soon not have it talked about it on here when they was up all night because it was scared them such bad.
I see.
But if I could have him call you and tomorrow, all right, and explain it to you?
Yes, we appreciate that very much. Then, of course, if we get any more information on it, then we can exchange back to you.
Okay, then I'll have him do that. I'll have him call you tomorrow, okay?
Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hello, say, my wife called you yesterday about this object I seen up in the air.
Oh, yes, in Caldwell.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I was coming home from work about, it was a little after 2 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, when I pulled off the main drag over here, I thought there was a darn cop behind me, followed me about 2 blocks. It was lighting my pickup up brighter all the time. And so I got down there just a block away from the house, and I said, well, see what the devil is the matter. And I thought I saw a red light come on, so I stopped. There was nobody behind me at
just like daylight out there.
Yes.
And so I got out of the car, and then I heard a little noise in the air, so I looked up in the air, and this big vapor, and this outfit just took straight off towards Hoffs up here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about all I can tell you. I mean, it's kind of funny. It's kind of scared the devil out of me when I first seen it.
But you did see an object?
Yeah, I saw an object.
Okay, now did that object have any particular shape?
Just like to me, it was kind of square.
Uh-huh.
It had the orange lights on it.
Okay. Did you, by any chance, count the number of lights?
Well, I noticed there's about 2 to 3 on each side.
I see. Okay.
And when it took off, it let the big vapor in the air. And it didn't even follow it, just like a diesel when it shifts gears.
Yes.
Just let the big diesel, like that in it, and just took off towards Hoss up there.
Okay, did those lights change color when it took off?
No, I didn't notice it.
They just stayed the same?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you hear any sound?
Just when it took off. When it let that vapors off, when I stopped to pick up and climbed out.
Uh-huh.
Just kind of a little rumble is all it was.
Okay. Now, could you estimate the size of that by comparing it with anything?
Oh, heaven knows. I couldn't. It wasn't. It was pretty good size.
Okay.
Well, from looking down here, I mean, I couldn't tell you just how big it was.
Okay, could you estimate how close it was to you?
Well, just above my pickup. It was, quite a ways up. I couldn't tell you just how far it was up, but, I seen a good glimpse just of the lights. I mean, I got a good view of the lights. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes, uh-huh.
But that's about all I got of it. I couldn't see nothing else.
Okay, now you were attracted by this, the fact that this thing lit up the area around you?
Yeah, I thought there was a car following me.
Uh-huh.
A cop followed me. So I just pulled over to the side of the road. I don't know, I thought maybe I wonder what the devil was taking place. What I did, drove right on down in front of my house here and let my wife see it.
Well, it followed you right to your house then?
Well, just a block away until I stopped up here to a crossroad.
Oh, I see.
And I wonder what the devil was following me, so I got out to find out because, heck, it was pretty light out there, and I wonder what the devil.
Now, was all this light just behind you?
Yeah.
Okay. It
coming up in there, I got my little, something on my camper, and it lighted up the inside of my camper.
Oh, I see. Okay. And that's all you could see at that time was the light.
Yeah, and I thought it was a cop behind me.
I see. Okay. Did you have any problem with your engine at the time this happened? The engine of the truck? Was there any problem with the ignition?
Well, no. I didn't notice.
Did you have your radio on?
No.
Okay.
No, I didn't. I didn't have no radio on or anything.
Did you have any unusual physical sensations while that light was in the area?
Well, it just scared me a little bit. I wonder what the devil I'd done wrong, or, and I kind of wondered about the only thing.
Yes, okay.
Everybody might think I'm a liar.
No, well, we deal with these things every day, so.
I told a couple, 3 guys over at the plant over there, and they one of them did believe me. The other, he kind of doubted. He says, I've heard of them, but he says, I've never seen any of them.
Uh-huh. And nothing has happened to you since you saw this thing?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
No, I just kind of wondered about it all.
Did you see any openings in this object?
No, I didn't. All I know is when I climbed out to pick up, the lights went out.
And then the thing took off?
Took off and let the big vapor behind it,
Uh-huh. And did you actually see it just disappear in the distance?
Yeah, I just went over so far and then I couldn't see it no further.
Okay.
Looks like it either went straight up or something. I don't know. Just.
Okay, what was your opinion of these objects previous to this?
Well, I never did. I'm kind of hard believing them.
Okay, does this make you a believer?
Yeah, pretty good. It's kind of hard to tell anybody this because, they think I'm full of talk or something.
Yeah. Well, okay. We're curious to know where your wife got our number.
asked for the police station.
Police station, okay.
Yeah, she called the police station about it.
Okay. Well, we sure appreciate this report, and if we get any additional information on this, we'll get back to you.
Yeah, well, it took off toward Nampa when I seen it, just off that way, and then I didn't see it anymore it didn't go too far before it was clean outside.
Uh-huh. Okay. Can we get back to you if we need additional information on this?
Yeah.
Very good.
You have to get me before 3 o'clock.
Before 3. Okay, sir, we thank you again.
You bet.
Right. Bye.
Have you heard anything like that before? I mean, about them?
Oh, yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
About
definitely.
the vapor and everything?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, I was kind of wondering myself.
Oh, yes, these things are being seen all around the planet.
Huh. Well, that sure gave me a scare last night.
I imagine, yes.
I was kind of shaking. I was shaking, though, when I seen them lights now a little bit. But I never did have a lawman there, follow me like that. I just shook up the way it was.
Right.
But, I mean, I just a little stunned.
Now, was that object hovering directly overhead?
Yeah, it did darn near direct and going up me. Well, I was coming down to the college there. They followed me. Oh, it was just a little bit off from me, not very much.
Yes.
It looked like it was just